Hello, and welcome to the Lost Archives. My name's Owen. I'm the Dungeon Master of our brand new campaign, Return of the Giants. Woohoo! We're back!
We made it!
Have you missed us? We were gone for only a few weeks, and not even gone, just the main campaign was gone for a few weeks. We still had Avatar Legends and Curse of Strahd running, but with Tyranny of Dragons gone, and the lovely players here bereft and without D&D in their lives to give it purpose, we had to come back as quickly as possible, and we have returned with our brand new campaign. Now, I'm going to let the players introduce themselves for the very first time. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and checking out our homebrew campaign. I'm going to do my best to, whenever we reference situations or characters from the previous campaign, Tyranny of Dragons, I'm going to do my best to give a bit of a background so that you don't need to have watched Tyranny of Dragons. I'll do my best. There is also a wiki. Otherwise, feel free to go and check out the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, because this is taking place only a few weeks after the end of our previous campaign. So, players, I'm going to get you to introduce yourselves, starting with let's go left to right. So, on your screens, are you guys all in the same position? I guess we'll find out. The leftmost person, introduce yourself. It is you, Ellie. It is you.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I was previously playing Shana, but now you'll soon find out. I have no idea what else to say.
No, that's perfect. That's absolutely fine.
No, I think on the Twitch I'm the one next, actually. So,
Yep.
Hey everyone, my name's Jared. I'm here today to play some D&D with these good folks and get into some shenanigans. And excited to show you some of their characters.
Oh yeah.
And I pass it over to Matt.
Ooh, yeah. Thank you, Jared. My name's Matt. Also very excited to get stuck into some new D&D with these lovely people. Looking much forward to it. And looking forward to seeing where this session 0 goes. Very excited to see what takes place. And now I pass it off to Michael.
That's me. Whoa. Hi, I'm Michael. Very keen to finally get rid of the withdrawals I was having for not playing in D&D.
Did you get to the shakes, or how far did it?
I get the shakes, and I'll just slip into random characters. Yeah.
And, you're there going what do I want for breakfast? You reach in, grab out a pocket dice, and just roll it really quickly.
I mean,
Pastry.
That's a natural one. Looks like I'm eating dirt. Sorry, Claire. And last, but certainly not least, Claire.
Hello, I'm Claire. I had to deal with Michael's withdrawals the last couple of weeks, so yeah, glad to be here. Glad to see all these lovely faces again, which I very much missed.
We are very, very, very excited to be back, and we've certainly missed our D&D sessions. It's very, very good to be back now. As the lovely cast have mentioned, this is going to be a session 0. The way we kind of run session 0s, for those of you who are familiar with it, we're actually going to run it as a narrative experience, not just sitting there planning out characters, which is what a session 0 sort of traditionally is. It's more of a time when you roll up your stats, figure out what character you're going to play, and then as a group come together, and then the DM will normally go through the rules and introduce the campaign settings. So we're still going to do all of that to an extent, but actually the way we're going to explore a lot of these things is through a narrative lens. We trialed this for Curse of Strahd. It worked really well, and it basically ended up being this entire improvised session of backstory, which we then improvised in the moment, which was awesome. So given how much fun that was, I thought, let's do this again. There are some extra things that I've added to the session 0 that you're going to get to see as well tonight. Now, obviously, for those of you obviously for our players, they know exactly what is going to be occurring in this campaign, because at the end of the last campaign, set it up pretty... No, you've got no idea what might be taking place. I can see them shaking their heads, looking confused. Well, we definitely didn't call it something on the nose I don't know, Return of the Giants. So it's
I thought it was going to be Varus. Return of Varus.
It could be the rise of Varus.
Rise of Varus, or in the shadow of Varus.
Oh, that's really cool.
In the shadows with Varus.
Yeah, I think we've got our one-shot, our special Halloween one-shot ready to go. yeah, that's a while away now. So yeah, this campaign is going to be taking place right after the events of our Tyranny of Dragon campaign. I've got a little quick intro that I'm going to go through first, just to introduce the campaign setting and get us all set up narratively for the experience. But tonight's session is not going to be a traditional style session 0, as I said before. We're going to be playing around with things and doing it more of a narrative lens to do a session 0. So I'll go through our campaign introduction, and then we'll start to get into these lovely characters that all of the players have chosen. Now, the one thing we have pre-prepared for the characters, there's a few things that we pre-prepared. Class, race, and the basic stats. I needed the class and the race so that I could do the lovely artwork that you see underneath and on the artwork session on the side, the artwork scroll. Everything else we're going to be doing live here. So, let me read out our narrative beginning and we will get started. The Tempest Adventuring Guild, a name now legendary across the lands of Nostea. 4 weeks ago, the city of Palin was attacked by a powerful magical force, destroying a large section of it. A sinister cult, set on bringing an evil betrayer god, Tiamat, into the world, had launched an assault against the city. But just as all hope seemed lost and the portal to Tiamat's prison had opened, a band of heroes were able to intervene. In the process of stopping the cult, however, ancient giant magic was reawakened, and all across Nostea, machinery which had lain dormant for thousands of years has begun to power back on. The giants, a race long thought lost, have returned. But this arrival has been tainted. King Mjorn of the Storm Giants, leader of the Althing, the Giant Council of Six, gave his life to defeat Tiamat and ensure his people returned home. Without their ruler, the 6 giant clans have descended into chaos upon arrival, each sure of their own way and right to rule. And with the giant lands having been occupied by the other races of Nostea for generations now, tensions are high, and the world seems poised on the brink of conflict. Each of you has been contacted by Mira, one of the founding members of the guild, with an invitation to come and interview for a new team being set up under the Tempest Guild's banner. Travelling to the merchant city of Oxenfurt, located on the west coast of Oceania, you quickly find your way to the Night Hall, an impressive 3-story manor house that now houses the guild's headquarters. You are not too surprised to find others there waiting as well, most likely members of your future team. Mira meets you at the gate and brings each of you through to an opulent sitting room. Standing just under 6 foot and dressed in long flowing robes of blue fabric and white furs, Mira is a dragonborn of 2 colours, half red, half silver. Her voice is calm and measured as she introduces herself to you all before inviting you to sit. So, what I'm going to get each of you to do as Mira steps into the room and leads you into the Night Hall, this massive 3-story manor house that as you approach, you can see these large wrought iron gates out the front have been polished and are now shining with this silvery iron tipped with brass. And at regular intervals along the outside, blue arcane runes occasionally flash and pulse. Every so often, an insect that flies over the gate just is zapped by this arcane wall surrounding the manor house that's invisible most of the time. As you walk in through the front gates and Mira greets you and brings you on through, you see these strange 4 other people who have come along, 4 other adventurers or mercenaries, or you're not sure who these people are or where they've come from for the moment, as you're all brought inside and sat down. The inside of the manor house is extremely well decorated. The polished wooden floors gleam with a shining light, and the lounge suite that you are directed to take a seat on is both comfortable and plush. The heavier among you find yourself sinking quite quickly into it, our warforged dwarf made of stone, as you sink quite quickly into the cushions, finding yourself very, very comfortable within them. Mira chooses to instead bring over a small stool, which she perches on, her long red and white tail flicking occasionally as it moves around the side. As she takes a seat and pulls out a clipboard with reefs of paper assembled inside and a long quill she delicately puts inside an inkpot. She looks towards all of you. Well, it is time to go through each of your names and make sure that we have all of the right applicants that applied. All of you have been picked for your aptitudes and special talents. I'm curious to see what each of you can do. And with that, she gestures over towards... well, actually, I should say, there are only 4 of you. Maybe this is a good point to bring in Lyra, actually. Because Lyra is the only character who actually knows who the Tempest Guild are and what's going on. As Mira is sitting down going through... Actually, yeah, I think we should do it this way. As Mira's sitting down going through, a figure with long red hair braided back, dressed in a very short cut but flowing tunic and pants, sort of rushes into the room holding this staff that's covered in these branching bracket fungus. And as she rushes in and skids to a stop and looks towards Mira, Mira gives her a smile and a wave. Lyra, hello. These are potentially your new teammates. A perfect time to come and take a seat. We were just about to do introductions.
Sorry, I hope I'm not too late. I got a bit distracted along the way. There was this really nice dark corner, and but yeah. Hi, new people. I'm Lyra. I've been here for a little bit, and then I wasn't here for a bit, and now I'm back again. But I'm a druid, and I guess I have some sort of weird mushroomy powers now. But nice to meet you.
Could you describe how Lyra appears to the various assembled recruits?
So when you look at Lyra, one of the first few sort of things that you might notice is the eyes are, if you knew her previously, the eyes are different. They're straight green now. She's got fair skin. It's still covered in a constellation of freckles, but she's seems to have these weird sort of not growths, but the mushrooms seem to have kind of spread a little bit further than just her interests.
Some of her armor looks quite organic, doesn't it? The leathers look less like animal leather and more like this tanned plant-like hide with these tendrils of mycelium through it.
Absolutely. And but yeah, as I was saying, she's sort of in a loose-fitting green top and pants. And everywhere she goes, just every movement, there's just this light dusting of mushroom spores that catch in the beams of light. But other than that, other than the shock of red hair, it's the same Lyra that sort of everyone's known from the first campaign. Well, on appearance anyway.
Yeah, I'd say probably slightly more elfin looking than she was previously. Her time in the Fae has...
And just so much fungi.
So much fungi. She's just a fun guy. Or a fun gal. Yeah, so you can see the ears are slightly more pointed. The eyes, that shade of green is this very vibrant, almost like soft glowing green that kind of betrays a little bit of that Fae connection now. I believe Lyra is an Eladrin now, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be rolling that one.
There's been some changes to Lyra. And how tall is Lyra as well, just to get an idea of... Because I believe you were quite short, weren't you?
Yeah, as I think by memory I've shrunk quite a little bit. I'm not sure if it's just back when Shana was trying to describe her way back when, if Shana had maybe not really thought that she's only really from the waist up. The rest is all snake.
Yeah, it was.
And
all
so
snake.
she is only about 5 feet tall.
Oh wow! Yeah. Okay.
So she is shocked.
So the staff is actually quite a bit taller than Lyra as she she like spins it round. Nice.
Works out well for her. She mostly uses it to knock things off tall shelves that she was previously able to reach.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bracket fungi now provide almost like a bit of a platform as you like can knock things in and catch them on the bracket fungus, then bring them down to you with this long section of wood fungus.
He also probably has this thought where it's like, if I can get good enough at this, I can use the fungus to make steps for me out of wooden furniture, and just sort of use it to climb up to reach things.
Now, I do have one quick question. How much has Lyra been experimenting with the fungi around the estate of the Night Hall?
He is being the biggest pain in the ass possible. Like, on one half, like everyone's, it's probably a bit of like, oh yeah, you've been gone for so long, you're finally back. And on the other half, a lot of people are probably wishing that she would just leave again, because if there is a dark corner that is humid and moist enough to grow mushrooms, she will have grown mushrooms, or at least have tried to grow mushrooms in that spot. Just, I don't know, maybe happen to have a couple of spores, like, oh, I wonder what this is, and she'll sort of sprinkle it down.
Amazing. Okay.
But yeah,
that's excellent.
Library is not a great state.
Are you just compelled to do it? Like, is there any underlying like? Yeah.
The fungus that's taken over her brainstem wants to spread.
There is a mycelium, and it is magical, and the more mycelium that goes places, the more magic there is. So I'm improving things for everybody.
Right.
They just don't know it yet.
The fact that she's bringing an introduced invasive species from the Feywild into the plane of Nostea,
Hey.
there's not going to be any consequences for that.
Yeah, I just finished The Last of Us. I know what happens next.
Yeah, I'm a conservationist, so I'm very aware of when
Yeah.
invasive species come
how's
in
that?
and ruin
Yeah,
the ecosystem.
in Australia particularly, we've had a pretty good track record with invasive species, right?
Oh no, rabbits are
Oh, no, I'm
horrible,
kidding. I'm
man.
kidding. I'm kidding. I was being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I took the bait.
Mate, I'm from Queensland. I know about the cane toad.
Cane
Oh
toads,
wow,
yeah.
yeah.
Cane beetles.
That delivery had me questioning you. They're questioning.
They didn't
that.
even.
Like, oh,
They weren't
it was
even
good.
that effective at the cane beetles because the cane beetles
They didn't
are too
eat it.
high up for
They-
weather.
Yeah,
They-
they preferred the Australian wildlife. It's like, oh, I mean, I could go for these cane beetles, or I could just eat them.
So the one question I do want to ask, though, if we have like a, sort of like a spore druid, are we gonna have to get the addiction table at Owen for mushrooms?
Depends on how many cubies she decides to grow.
I wasn't planning on having the. Yeah, Michael's currently wearing an incredible tie-dye shirt.
He is.
I wasn't planning on bringing the addiction table into the campaign unless we needed it. I've been using it in Curse of Strahd for the dream pastries. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got it. I've made it. I can use it. It's not a problem.
We'll see how it goes.
Maybe I should have sanity
If she
checks
ran
as well.
across it in the Feywilds, like if she came across any.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
isn't it,
there's like Fey Flyagaric. It's just insanely hallucinogenic.
And like, she has absolutely grown it in some spot or another. Like she is backing up all her mushrooms
That's the
Like
one
if
she
she's-
put under her bed, right?
under the pillow.
Flyagaric. And literally, Flyagaric is the one that you see in like the fairy circles. It's the red and white spotted mushroom. All right, well, Feyagaric is an actual thing now. It's going to be
Nice.
horrific. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, that's a really good description of Lyra. Amazing. Also, you'll see her character art coming up during the. If you're watching us on YouTube or on the Twitch stream, you'll see her character art come up as well. Well, as Mira. Thanks, Lyra. Thank you for that introduction, Lyra. There's a seat there. Well, I think we should move on to the next participant, the next recruit. My Genasi friend. I believe your name was. And Mira begins shuffling through some papers.
Tetra. My name's Tetra.
Yes, Tetra. Here. Please. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. And Michael, if you could start by describing Tetra, how she appears.
Right. Well, she's a little dark blue skin. So, but she's not a drow. She's something else. And in parts of like where her hair is, and bits on her arm, her skin sort of morphs and changes into crystals. The crystal's mostly purple or a dark blue or along those lines. She's got a little bit long robes, a bit flowy, and she's got sort of brightish shine behind her eyes. So she'll just introduce herself and just be like, "Oh, hello, I haven't been awake for very long. I just sort of woke up in amongst the dwarves. Been looking for, interesting, a place to talk about magics and learn. And sort of found my way here."
Yeah, don't worry too much about how you got here. We're going to go through all of that as part of the session zero, and I'll be tying together your backstory. So what we're going to do is essentially come up with a few threads for each of you, and then we're going to weave them all together into a tapestry of a backstory that brings all of you together to this place. Some of you having known each other. Ideally, I want to have it so that each of you know at least one other person, if not more, from your past, and we're going to literally weave together this tapestry of events that's brought you to this location.
Cool.
It's a very visual metaphor. I'm going to stand by that. Yeah, I'm going to get the threads of your character narrative and weave them into a tapestry of a party. I'm not pretentious, I swear. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's this Guatemalan beer. It's making me very lyrical. Amazing.
Well, one more thing I'll mention about her is she's got just a little stone, what looks like be a little dark stone or a little dark bit of metal. I'm not sure whether it's stone or metal, and it's just softly floating around her, just bobbing, moving around. She doesn't seem to be paying attention to it.
Okay. The other thing we should mention as well, I don't know if you touched on this, Michael, with Tetra, is parts of her skin, because it has almost like a stony kind of texture to it, the skin, and there are sections where it is cracked, revealing crystals within. So you can almost see these internal crystals. And her eyes, as you said, were very bright and shine. They're very crystalline. As you look at them, the way they catch the light is almost like light shining through a crystal or reflecting off a crystal. It's a very brilliant, reflective surface. Almost like the light you get from a cat's eye or a dog's eye when you shine a light in at night, but rather than being that yellowy green from the tapetum, it's this very purpley blue color, this very rich purplish color that shines forward. Mira nods and then turns towards another one of the new recruits. Yes, and I have here as well. I'm sorry. On your application, I was not able to interpret the language that your name was written as. It looks like a series of runes. Our local wizard, Griswold, tried to interpret it, but he had some troubles as well.
This one doesn't have what you call a name. This one has on here a designation. So this one felt that I should probably write something. I didn't write it, but someone else did.
Could you describe your character, Claire, as well? Just to give some context, this incredible performance.
Okay, so what you see is a dwarven humanoid figure that is made of stone. So they have this long brown traveling cloak that they've kind of wrapped around themselves, and to cover what you can clearly see is a very old, maybe marble, pyrite, very old stone, and you can just see glimpses of what must have been a very vibrant but faded now yellow, red and blue paint. And you're thinking that at some point this thing must have been just garishly painted, like a Greek statues used to be. And the details on the face are not sort of blank or mask-like. They are impeccably detailed. And when they're frowning or perplexed, every single little detail is moving. So they've got the dwarven beard, the dwarven hair, the dwarven helm, and the armor, but it's all very, almost uncannily lifelike, even though it's quite clearly something that's constructed.
Almost like a dwarven statue brought to life. Very clearly female dwarven statue. The beard kind of extends down around the chin. Or did you want to go more ambiguous?
Yeah, I'm going to go they, them.
Okay, perfect. I might adjust the character art then, because I think the version of the character art we've got is still based on the original brief you gave me, which was when you were playing a female dwarf.
There were boobies.
There were, and quite an ample. Ample, yeah. The description I was given from Claire, I think, let me find it, was like ample bosom.
Ample bosom, yeah. No,
and thick with like 3 C's.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have that artwork.
Anymore.
I don't think you can get rid of the bosom though, even if it's a whatever.
I've already reduced it a bit for this one, but I'm wondering if maybe I should reduce it even a bit more, mate. Because I hadn't realised that you were going for a much more ambiguously gendered character. I can easily adjust that in the
embrace
character
the bosom.
break the
It's very no. It's not.
I don't mind.
It's not the bosom so much. I think the well, look. Let me rephrase. So what you see is a dwarven statue, quite androgynous, but almost like a dwarven statue brought to life. Sections of the skin are a little bit chipped and cracked. You can see where a little bit of damage has been done over the years. And probably even with the traveling cloak on, even though there's no... and your eyes as well. They glow with this very light blue magic. It's almost as if the eyes themselves are still stone, but there's this glow hovering just maybe like a centimetre or two off the surface of the stone that gives the eyes this very radiant colour. Any of you who are particularly sharp-eyed, there's a similar matching glow occasionally poking out from underneath the cloak. Yeah, I can see Claire nodding. Perfect, yeah. Yeah. Ali, you had a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, when they emote, is it more like the crumbling and reforming of stone or concrete, or is it sort of like a more oddly elastic stone in the sense that, you know, there's nothing being moved out of the way in order for the emotion to happen?
Can you say that word again, Ali?
Which one? Emote?
Overly elastic?
Overly elastic.
Oh, I thought that was one word, and I was like, wow, that is a
I don't
word.
think that's a word. It could be, but I'm not sure.
Elastic.
Yeah.
Overlastic, yes, there is a special terminology for this type of stone movement. It's overlastic.
Overly elastic.
I heard overly elastic. I heard it both times.
It's more like the first one. Yeah, sort of moving stone. You know that in the labyrinth, the giant in the stone.
Yes.
Yeah. The labyrinth, very much kind of like that. Very like Jim Henson would be proud of this character.
So yeah, it's I guess in a way it's almost like the stone, the seams and the cracks fade into each other quite seamlessly, and so when the face moves, it's the only time you can kind of see these breaks and cracks as they move around and reshape to form these different expressions. But it's probably accompanied by a very faint grinding, crumbling sort of sound, and even whenever your character moves as well, Claire, I'm assuming there's that same sort of like grinding sound, very faint, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That you know when you're walking on marble or you're running your hand along marble with something kind of metallic, it's that sort of a noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of feeling.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
They're very emotive. Like they're very emotive as well. Yeah.
And clearly carved by an expert smith. Whoever was responsible for this, above and beyond even the dwarven skills, this was a master dwarven craftsman or craftswoman who created this statue. What's brought it to life and the subsequent things that have followed, you have no idea, but to all intents and purposes, from the outside, it looks like a statue that's been animated.
Not a girl, not a statue. That's my motto.
Wow.
As Mira sort of nods and updates the form with the new information that she had some information wrong, she goes, so you do not have a name, is that correct?
Well, actually, I did come across someone who has given me, or translated or given this one some sort of a designation. I came across them in my travels.
We shall come back to that in a moment, I think.
I liked it at the time. I'm using more of the word I because I understand that is protocol to use pronouns.
Yes.
This one will try their best. I will try our best.
Indeed. Well, I'd love to update the forms properly. I think we should finish the introductions. Then I think we should maybe start with your journey to get here. Our Owlin friend in the robes. Please, I have Niles.
Ah, yes, Niles Silverwind. What an honor it is to be amongst such esteemed colleagues. You must be Mira.
A very faint blush comes to Mira's cheeks. Very faint. Would you like to describe your character, Matt?
So Niles is, for all intents and purposes, a very tall, almost bird-like humanoid creature. Very much reminiscent of like a snowy screech owl, like that sort of like grey, motley, white, black sort of color scheme. Has these very large, like big wings set behind him, tucked away, but wears a very oriental inspired clothing. Very monochromatic with touches of some reds and teals, gold trim on the edges. Very ornate clothing, which probably would be quite out of place, I would say, for this part of Nostea. Very exotic, I would say. But has two sort of talony hands and talony feet with some gold dangles on one leg of his talons. Just one of his clawed talons is tied up with a white bandage, seemingly for no reason. But probably the one thing you notice the most of Niles is he has this very monochromatic sort of black and white yin yang symbols sort of adorn the details of his clothing as well. Throughout the garb, and also on his back cloak also has a large yin yang symbol. And interestingly enough, he doesn't seem to be carrying any type of weaponry. It's just simply him in these resplendent clothing with his grey features. Very big, bright yellow eyes as well, which sort of just stand out amongst the largely monochromatic clothing. Just these massive yellow, piercing eyes. And also just super quite lanky as well, I would say.
Took me a few goes to get the owl eyes right, and even then they're very nice on the artwork.
Yeah. No, it's good. He also has a pair of, quite comically actually, considering he's probably got very good vision, just some little spectacles.
They're like half moon, perched just on the tip of his beak.
Just on the tip of his beak.
Princess.
Yeah.
The other thing we should say, like a screech owl, you have these feathers, tufts sort of coming up, almost that look a little bit like ears or horns on your head, but they're just tufts of feathers collected.
Almost like a Y shape. So they're like the feathers go up like this and then sort of come down into the face.
Very screech owl kind of face and appearance, with some of that faded snowy owl coloration coming through as well, with the browns of the screech owl tempered by the greys and whites and blacks of the snowy owl. Sorry, not barn owl.
That's right.
Barn owl. Yeah, snowy owl. Please, Niles. Yeah, as Mira sort of, you see like a little bit of she sort of like gets a bit of a confused look and blushes a little bit, and then goes, "Yes, you were very highly recommended to us. Could you tell us any skills that you might have in particular?"
Oh well, I do partake in a tea or two. I enjoy a good brew. I hear under good authority that you too, Mira, enjoy a nice hot cup. In fact, I couldn't help but notice you had some exquisite samples in your store there. It would be an honor to make you some tea someday.
Oh, that's. But as you say, they're being like, "Why can't I be Mira right now? I want tea." That would be lovely. I do enjoy tea. You're very, very well informed. I do enjoy a nice hot cup of tea.
I am but a humble servant. Whatever I can do to assist and make things easy, I am happy to help. And it is good to be here.
I'm excited to see what your charisma score is, because fuck me, it's going to be high.
It's not high. It's like -1.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. I love the characterization. I have to say, I was not expecting this particular affect. This has been the most surprising, I think, actually so far for me. I don't know what I was expecting, but this is hilarious. I'm really liking this. This is really fun.
Yeah, I think in my mind I was gonna try and do more of a genteel voice, but it's come out way more charismatic than I was hoping it would. So I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, I really like it. It's like this. It's like a rogue, a roguish kind of noble, like coming like, "Oh, maybe I could make you tea sometime, milady."
Yeah,
but less cringe than that.
His charisma. The negative charisma comes from the fact that he makes her an Earl Grey.
When Mira clearly wanted a Yorkshire Gold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The best tea. Yeah.
That's true. Wow.
And finally the Krasus?
Krasus. Yes.
Krasus. Yes. Please.
I didn't really say my last name. I don't normally mutter it often. Antares.
Krasus, and I'll just update the form. Could you
So
describe?
Yep.
No.
I was just going to say, because I was thinking of doing, before we had our session, I was thinking of a name for my last name, and everyone said star constellations, and then I looked at names of stars, and Antares is apparently one of them. So I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, for everyone at home, my character is an astral elf. So he has these long flowing robes and this sort of like cape that sort of folds behind him. And it has almost like, it looks like sort of a galaxy in motion almost with the cloak. It's like very almost looking up at the night sky, stars and stuff through it. He's wearing he has this sort of trim along too that sort of has this almost this glow effect to it. So very it'd be very interesting to look at this person. But otherwise, the Astral Elves and I think your world, Owen, have the darker sort of bluey sort of tinge skin.
Yeah, sort of a greyish,
gray?
bluish, and teals. Yeah, sort of muted greys, blues, and teals, like a night sky in various stages. And then often they'll have little star patterns of bioluminescence glowing across their skin.
Yep. So I also have that sprinkled throughout. I have a little sort of almost like a magic tattoo sort of up here. It doesn't really, it just sort of glows luminescent. Otherwise, Alf got this long flowing sort of white greyish hair. But yeah, it sort of cuts. He definitely has a serious tone to him though.
And so for those of you, which is everybody who's not very familiar with the Astral Elves, because this is the first time they're appearing in the homebrew world of Nostea, I'm going to go through a little bit of the Nostean differences, but again, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I do thoroughly recommend checking out the wiki. I should definitely do !wiki for the Twitch streamers. Otherwise, it's in the description of the episode below. But for Nostea, the Astral Elves are actually quite rare on the surface of Nostea. They generally spend a lot of their time up very, very high in the floating cities. There's specifically one floating city where they generally spend their time, which is the floating city of Volus. It's a giant sky castle that they converted into a flying city, and they have been spending most of their time right up very, very high, tracing the sky castle's route around Nostea as they research magic. Very unusual magic for the rest of Nostea, and the Astral Elves are a very unknown kind of group, but there have been Astral Elves occasionally coming down and kind of trading and working with some of the members of the Nostean groups. All Astral Elves seem to have a bit of an affinity for magic, and so whenever Astral Elves have come to Oxenford, if any of you are residents of Oxenford, they've normally been around the university for the most part and spent a lot of their time to do with magic.
So that's what I was going to get into a little bit, Owen. I was thinking my parents would be very involved with the Unseen University, because I was thinking of going the background celebrity adventurers Scion or something.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool.
I'm sort of going with that, I'm the son of these famous parents who, everyone talks all about them all the time, but I've never really been looked at. That's why I've come to the guild to try and get some
to get out from under their shadow, forge your own path. Yeah, cool. The only other thing I'll add about your character as well is the clothing is quite unique. Because the Astral Elves spend so much time very high in the air and at very high altitudes, the robes that you're wearing, there's almost not armor plating, but these sections of metal almost woven into it, forming these little collections of, not wires per se, but these little armored sections around your robes that don't look to be armor per se, but for you guys, that's probably the closest metaphor that you come up with looking at it. These little sections of metal kind of woven in. And the robes themselves, it looks like they can actually be attached and plugged down to form almost like a full suit in a way. which would be a pressure suit for when you need to be in low pressure situations. So
Oh,
whether
nice.
or not you would be wearing that, maybe your parents don't have one for you, but the Astral Elves, the clothing is very much designed around the needs of being at very, very high altitudes.
Wow, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, quite futuristic looking, and the glowing star-like luminescence on your forehead glows the same color as your eyes. This very, very light starlight blue.
Mm.
Mm.
It's actually very similar to our they them friend here.
Nameless friend.
Nameless friend.
Whereas yours is much whiter. The Dwarven Forged appears to have a much more darkish blue, a much more like a deep lightning blue, whereas yours is this very light white
I imagine it's almost
color.
like that's what I was about to say. It's almost like looking into minds, almost looking like into the galaxy, where our nameless friends is almost looking at like a blue gem or something like that you would find down deep in the earth.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
The spectrum. Blue. Blue buddy.
That'd be a cool name, Spectrum. Oh, chromatic sorcerer Spectrum.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
NPC, just type that in. So yeah, as Mira nods as you all finish your introductions, she sort of takes a bit of a moment, pulls open her folio, and begins rifling through small papers. Yes, well, I see here that you each have areas of aptitude and specific skills. Your resumes were all very impressive, I must say, reading through them. And yes, I'd like to go through and get a bit of an understanding about your skills and your strengths. So, what we're going to do is go through your character sheets in very light detail. So obviously we used, for those of you who are new to D&D or are just getting started, we're actually going to go through how we did our character creation for each of these characters and kind of get you set up a little bit. So we used the point buy system, which is where you're allocated a pool of points that you can then spend to increase your stats. All of your stats start at 8. When you pick your race, that gives you certain bonuses to certain stats, and then you have a pool of remaining points that you can allocate. I believe any points that you spend over 12, you have to spend 2 points after that, I believe.
And then over, there's another one where
15, I think it's 3.
15.
Yeah, so as a DM, I personally really like point buy because it allows for players to customize their characters while at the same time keeping it a very even playing field, whereas rolling for points can be chaotic.
All really good.
All really good. Yeah.
I think it depends on the camp. It depends on the group, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to play that sort of chaotic D&D.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had one where one of the players rolled 3 18s for a level 1 character.
It's just...
On top of that, this was the one person that we didn't want to have a powerful character. So it just that campaign ended after like 3 sessions because it was just.
Oh yeah.
It's
the
fun
other
to
option you can. Oh, sorry, Clay, you go.
I was just going to say it's fun to have a negative stat.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
The greatest heroes, the greatest characters are actually defined by their weaknesses, not their strengths. That's one of the things I use for creating NPCs. Normally, I'll have a weakness and a goal, and then a few character traits that I put around that, because people's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. So if I've picked their greatest weakness, I now know what their greatest strength is. So it's because like all of us, like your strongest attribute, your strongest ability is often your negative that works against you. So it's a really cool way of designing characters.
I mean, in the last campaign, the best thing I ever did for Lockie, for RP wise, was give Lyra, give away a piece to get the thing for Lyra, because I gave him -2 to his charisma, and then I just went ham. I just went nuts with it the whole time, and it was the best.
So much fun. The other way that you can do character point allocation is standard array. I think this is fine. Where you get a 10, you get an 8, a 10, 10, 12, 12, 14, or 13.
13,
14,
14, and
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, I think standard array is fine. I just think that point buy allows for greater customization. So while I'm happy for people to use standard array, generally I like to give players the most freedom possible, while still kind of keeping it an even playing field. So we've used point buy for all of our characters. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through. each of your brand new characters, your level 1 characters, tell me your race, your class, and your main stats, how you've allocated them. So let's go reverse now. Let's start with Jared, with Krasus.
Yep, cool.
Could you take us through... So I think we've revealed you're an Astral Elf. What class have you chosen to play?
So I've never played a wizard. So for the first time, I'm going a wizard.
Amazing.
Let's go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Should be fun. I'm looking
And
forward to
how
it.
have you allocated your points?
So, being an Astral Elf, I've just dumped stat strength, so that's 8 -1. I am not a strong elf. Dexterity, I have actually put it +3, so 16. So I'm thinking he's quite. So it's the opposite, like where you're high strength, but I'm like you're low strength, but I'm high dex, so I'm quite maneuverable on my feet,
Very
quite
lithe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I haven't completely chosen my I haven't thought of. I'm sort of umming around about subclass still, so I'm keeping it
And
open.
as you should be,
just in
as you should
case.
be. So that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I've given myself a +2 Constitution, 14. I like to think that, like, being raised by my parents, like I've been through training and stuff, so I actually have a
and
fairly good Constitution.
Having to be like acclimatized to the high altitude situation that the Astral Elves are
that's a
often
good point
finding
too.
themselves in. Like, I mean, for you, the air is thick, it is oxygenated. You're feeling quite empowered down at the low altitudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
+3 for intelligence, 17.
Yep.
So yeah, with that, I imagine that, like, my parents being, I imagine, like, in my mind, they're like very reputable, very famous, like magic wielders. So, like, being really big part of the Unseen University and being sort of raised there, and as well sort of switching between the castles. Like, I have quite a interest in books and magic and knowledge. So I think my guys really went hard on that. Wisdom is a +0, just a 10. So I like to think that it's just all books to him. He's trying to up himself, trying to make himself worthy of his parents' name. But at the hindsight of that, because he's been such a bookworm, his charisma as well is a -1, so 8.
I was gonna say -8. I was like,
I know.
Whoa.
Sorry. But yeah,
that means
so
it's
wisdom
-12 on the stats. That's impressive.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But no, the wisdom and charisma are lower because he's just devoted so much time to getting his body ready, his mind
studies
ready.
as well.
His
Yeah.
social side of things have not been there. So especially since most of these social interactions are like, oh my god, your parents are famous. Like, tell me about your parents. Not
Yeah.
like sharing that about my characters. So that's sort of how I've went with it.
No, nice. And that makes sense because for wizards, the primary stats that you want to be using, the stat you're going to be using for most of your spells is intelligence, almost all your spells. So having intelligence as your highest stat makes a lot of sense. 17's a really good number to start off with. Your next ability score increase will bump that up to an 18 and you'll be laughing.
That's it.
Brilliant. All right. And then next up we have, I believe it was Matthew. Niles. Now, let's see if anyone can guess what class the Owlin covered in yin yang symbols might be playing.
Well, sorry to, I'll put you out of your misery. I'll tell you what it is. It's the barbarian class. Yeah, you got it. No, Niles is a monk.
Yeah.
What? Mainly because I've never played a monk before, and I think it's one of the classes that kind of gets overlooked a lot in D&D, so I kind of wanted to give it a go because I think that would be kind of fun. I think there's a lot of potential for roleplay, and I think there's a lot of potential to have a lot of fun with this class, so that's why I decided to roll with the monk class for this campaign. Niles is an Owlin, that's his race, so he is kind of like an Aarakocra. For those playing at home, that is kind of like a bird human, sort of kind of like a hybrid.
Like an anthropomorphic bird, but you're an anthropomorphic owl.
Yeah. So humanoid, but also bird-like. So still retaining a lot of the bird features. Wings.
And interestingly,
talons.
2 arms, 2 legs, and the wings.
Yeah.
So much so that Alan does, Niles, I should say. Niles does have a flying speed, which is kind of exciting. I think for a monk, that's a very interesting thing to include. So that'll be a little bit of fun to play around with that. What else is there to say? I get it. apparently I get a proficiency in stealth too. Silent feathers. Didn't know that. That's kind of fun.
Owls don't make a lot of noise when they fly. They're well known for
don't.
the way their feathers are aligned actually eliminates noise. They're
That's true.
terrifying hunters, so that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I think as well, like kind of going with Niles' flavor, like so obviously like the very light fitting clothing, very flowy, sort of complementing that sort of style, I guess. Kind of hard for Niles to show this off right at this moment because he's obviously in an enclosed place. But I think once Niles is out and about, you'll get the full picture of him and what he can do. Anyway, we've gone through this. We've gone through the class.
Yeah.
I've done point by. I've used Harsh's Cauldron of everything with his racial bonuses, so I've just sort of stacked those on dexterity.
Yep, that makes sense.
Because dexterity for a monk is pretty important. A lot of its abilities and attack skills are all sort of
everything.
All of them.
Everything's
pretty
built
much
in dex for a
everything
monk.
ties back to dexterity. Yeah. So
Yep.
that's where I've stacked most of the racial bonuses. Other than that, he has an 8 in strength because obviously monks don't really need to rely too much on strength. The stat bonuses on the dexterity, pushing that up to a pretty respectable score of 18. It's pretty high. Constitution of 14, just so I can sort of hopefully survive some hits. Yep. Intelligence is 8, so he's not a smart boy. I actually had intelligence set at 10, but then just then my charisma came in pretty hard, so I've actually switched those around.
Swapped it. Nice.
I've swapped it around, yeah. My wisdom is a 15.
Yes.
Because I think outside of dexterity, wisdom is probably the next most.
There are some monk
stat.
subclasses that rely on wisdom, so it makes a lot of sense to build into that,
Yeah.
especially because you don't know which subclass you're going yet, so that makes sense.
That's true. And yeah,
Way of the 4 elements
so-
needs a lot of whiz.
Yep. And then the 10 for the charisma. Just because
Brilliant.
of what just happened. Went in real hard with the charisma, so I'm just gonna roll with it. That sounds
No,
like a plan.
it's fantastic. This is a really good chance to kind of... Oh, sorry, no, you go.
Oh no, you go on.
I was going to say, this is a really good chance to kind of point out there's 2 kind of concepts for classes and stats known as sad and mad. Your class is either sad or it's mad. Sad stands for single ability score dependent. Mad stands for multiple ability score dependency. So you want to be sad, you don't want to be mad as a character.
Yeah,
so
that's
monks are a very classic example of possibly sad, possibly mad, depending on how you split it up. So it's good that you've kind of focused on the dexterity, but kept the wisdom in reserve for when you need it.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's going to come in handy.
That's right.
It's very clever.
Yeah. I think that's a versatile play. I think in my allocations.
It just opens up every subclass for you. You're not locked into one or the other. The Way of the Kensai, which is the weapons one, that's still available to you and still a very powerful option. As is Open Palm or 4 Elements, Long Death. Seriously, you've done a really good job of opening yourself up to all the subclasses. So that was very nicely done.
Thank you. But outside of that, speaking probably more to Niles' character, I think probably more of that will be revealed. Did you want me to go through that now, or
we'll go through backgrounds in a minute because we're going to have the backgrounds kind of weave into how you've met each other. Some of you have interacted previously, so that's perfect.
Cool.
Claire.
Yeah.
You're lovely. I've been calling her Dwarforged or them Dwarforged.
Dwarforged is cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So technically,
did you want me to?
is
Did you want to make a
Warforged.
custom? Did you want me to make a custom race?
Sure. Why not?
Because we've already got one other custom race tonight, which we're going to discuss in a few seconds. Because we've already done Giant Forged. I'll make custom Dwarf Forge race. We'll update it. I'll have a chat to you about what the specifics of that custom race are. It'll be available on the wiki and D&D Beyond for anyone who wants to use it, as with all of my custom classes and races that I make.
Fun. This is why D&D is fun. Just make it up as you go along.
So you're currently playing a Warforged, but it's about to become a Dwarf Forged in a moment, which is it'll be a special sub race of Warforged. And you are, what class are you playing?
So I've picked a Warforged fighter.
Fighter, very nice.
Yes, and so
Is that a class you've played before?
I have played Warfighter before,
Okay.
not the one that I'm thinking of for this particular character, but that's for a later level. So that will be a lot of fun. But so fighters are, if you want to play your classic melee, but also they're quite versatile. But if you want to play a classic fighter, play the fighter.
Sword and board, ready to go.
Sword and board.
Can't go wrong.
Sword and
Fighting.
shield, for those of you who might not know what that particular reference is.
Yeah. So I'm going to be a strength strength-based fighter, which means
okay, nice.
so you can do usually either dex or strength fighters, depending on what sort of weapon you want to use and what sort of fighting style you want to be.
And that can lock you into some subclass options. There's a couple of subclasses that depend on one or the other, so that's you've kind of got yourself streamlined towards a couple. It sounds like you've got a subclass in mind in particular. Excellent. I'm very excited to see that when it comes.
But for now, just making it, so you can basically just pick either strength or dex. So my strength is 16, that's a +3. My dexterity is 10, which is a straight roll. Constitution need a little bit of that because I'll be fighting. I need some hit points, so that's also 16. My intelligence is -1.
That's nice.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually. You don't need it as a fighter, really. Unless you're like there is a type of fighter that needs...
Eldritch Knight.
Eldritch Knight. I haven't played
However, if your DM is especially generous, you might find yourself coming across a Helm of Intellect, at which point you don't give a shit anymore because your intellect is suddenly set to 18 as a result of finding the headband.
Well, that's good because my character loves treasure. Absolutely loves.
Oh, that's if you've got a nice DM.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I did forget that.
Well, I guess. Fucked.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Wisdom, which you do need a little bit of for fighters. Just it's a really good utility for like perception.
A lot of wisdom saves for spells, and if you're on the front line, yeah.
So I've got a 14, so it's a +2, and then my charisma I actually put as a straight 10. Now with fighters that you sometimes dump that one as well, but you know my character's very glittery and looks like a Greek sculpture, so I thought can't admit a minus. She's pretty.
Cool.
I mean, she's so shiny. They're so shiny.
Shiny, yeah.
Shiny. We're not doing that again.
I think it would be important to note at this point. Sorry, Niles would be like looking at everyone. Everyone is very glittery or glowy in
That's
one way.
true.
Yeah,
So
very.
Niles' big allies are just like
Now there is one aspect of Niles. There is one aspect of Niles we need to talk about. Now, owls in our world, they can't move their eyes. They don't have ocular muscles, so they have to move their heads when they want to look at things. Is that true for Niles?
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, great. So Niles is just like
eyeing us all off.
Yeah, that's probably why his charisma is so low.
like two headlights.
It's so fucking creepy.
Amazing. I love that. That's awesome. Brilliant. Claire, amazing. That's very clever. I like how you've distributed your stats as well. Keeping some options open, but also kind of streamlining towards a couple of different subclasses, it sounds like.
You do, and also keeping in mind the character. So some stats should reflect,
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
that they're not completely
Now,
uncharismatic.
no, exactly right. Now onto our custom sub-race. Michael,
Yes.
could you please tell us a little bit about your race and class?
Okay. Well, Tetra Aeonites is a Genasi, which usually the Genasi go towards an element, so your fire, earth, air, water. But she's a little bit different. So she's a crystal Genasi, which is something that Owen and I have come up with and spawned. So she has like elements of the earth Genasi, but the crystal stuff starts to come out. And so that's going to have interesting little maybe features or traits in the future. We'll see how we go. And her class, I've started her off as a druid. Now, I have played a druid before, a couple of times.
Many times.
A few times.
It's your most played class, Michael. Why are you trying to pretend otherwise?
It is. Because I love the flavor of a druid.
Yeah, druids are
you can
amazing.
go in so many different directions.
You can have a party of 3 druids and they all play entirely differently. Even 4 druids, actually, 4 subclasses you could run. Circle of Wildfires like a ranger with your companion or a sorcerer. Circle of Stars gives you this incredible combination spellslinger or eldritch knight Wild Shape gives you tank, healer, support, like nearly everything for Moon Druid.
Just
And Spore Druid for incredible control.
Yeah.
I would almost argue it's like one of the most versatile like classes. Like you could just go in any direction and it would work. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is why I'm really looking forward to a double druid party.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers. But yeah, everyone knows Lyra is also.
We're going to do some 1-2 punches that are going to be very interesting. So I have an idea of which subclass I want to go with her. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, so for now I've stuck her in Druid. So the way that I've kitted her out is my strength and my dex. I've got a +1 in both, just sort of to iron it out, and also because with a little bit of like little bit of rock, she's got like a little bit of like oomph behind it, and then the dex because rock slides, and the way I'm going to flavor her is I'm moving into crystals, lights, and sort of maybe some little bit of magnetism that I might have already hinted at. So that sort of explains exactly that explains those ones. For the last physical stat, I've taken Constitution, which is always a great move for a spellcaster for concentration checks, and also to make sure I don't get like completely blown away for the first time I get hit. Her intelligence is only a +1. Because that's not her main stat. Her main stat comes from the wisdom, which I've stuck a +3 in, and I've got a 17 there. So I've got a 17 in wisdom, I've got a 13 in dex. And the reason I like doing the odd numbers, usually do 2 odd numbers, so the first time you level up and you take that plus the extra +2, you can go pop, pop, and 2 skills pop up.
And suddenly you're like, I can unlimited power.
Yeah. I can do all these things. And then the last one I've done is a -1 to charisma, because we'll go into backstory stuff later, but there is a reason that she doesn't quite get people. She's been sheltered, let's say. She's a little sheltered life.
Noticing a trend of low charisma.
Our best charisma is a flat
10.
10.
Yeah.
We don't have anything above that.
We've made the most charismatic character. Okay, that'll be fun.
This is problematic.
As a dungeon master, having all of the players and not have one of the ability scores covered. Mwah.
Yeah.
It's a political intrigue campaign. Wait, what?
What?
And that's the thing with Owen, though. Owen always does a lot of role play, so a lot of those charisma stats are actually probably more important than other
But
DMs.
this is good
sometimes.
because now it means you're going to fail them more often, which is so much more interesting and so much more fun. It's really boring when you just lie to people and they go, "Oh yeah, that sounds about right." Whereas now people are like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fun. This will be fun.
We're not very conspicuous either. All of us have some degree of glowing.
Yeah.
Well, you are no. You are very conspicuous. That's the problem. The issue is you're very as a group. You've got one of the rarest sub races of elf. You've got a walking Greek statue. You've got an Owlin going everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
You've got a woman with crystals growing through her skin. And then another woman who's constantly shedding spores like some soft snow behind her wherever she walks.
You are bad dandruff.
Yeah.
Really bad dandruff.
This is Lyra. We also call her Snowy. Would you like to... actually, perfect timing. Ali, would you like to take us through Lyra's class and stats? And then I think we should get started on the backstories and do a bit of, as you've all brought up, to a bit of roleplay. See how you guys all go.
Yep, so she is a Eladrin this time round after her losing her body and going through the Feywilds. I thought it could be a fun race to play. For her class, she is a Spore Druid. Well, at least hopefully, otherwise the mushrooms are going to seem really weird. And for abilities, I have very probably and possibly made a really bad mistake here.
I like to hear that.
I got 3 dump stats.
Brilliant.
So
Strength,
I have
wisdom,
done
charisma.
a point buy of 8 for strength, charisma, and intelligence. So Lyra is wise enough to know not to put tomatoes in a salad or a fruit salad. She's not smart enough to know not to serve them on a lead plate.
I actually kind of like that analogy. That's that's good.
The tomato analogy for stats.
The tomato analogy. Strength is being able to crush the tomato. Dexterity is able to cut it. Constitution is being able to eat the tomato and survive. Like, I'm guessing. Intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not serving it in a fruit salad. Charisma is describing it or selling it, I guess.
Being able to convince people to eat the tomato off the lead plate.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's good. That's fun. That is lots of fun. So take us through your main stats then. Sounds like you've done a 3 and 3.
Yeah. I've sort of railroaded her into I've gone 15 con, I'm just anticipate. I don't want to be super squishy anymore. I've got a whiz of 15 and a dex also of 15, and then I've used my racials to boost the dex to 17 and the whiz to 16. But other than that, it's 8 strength, 17 dex, 15
Getting
con.
into the dex there, that's interesting. Very cool.
Yeah,
the spore druids.
She's not going to be wild shaping.
It's a good idea.
Of course.
So, Lyra has to be a lot more survivable than she was in the previous campaign.
Yeah, good point.
Or she won't be, and I'll be playing a different character.
So for those of you who might not be aware, for those of you who didn't watch Tyranny of Dragons, Ali joined us playing Lyra originally, who was a moon druid. During the course of that campaign, because she was playing a Kalashtar moon druid, during the course of that campaign, something kind of funky magically happened, and Ali ended up playing almost like a reflection of Lyra, or like a twin soul. Lyra's like twin soul known as Shana, who was a Naga, essentially, a Yuan-Ti sorcerer. So Lyra, one of the big plot points of the last campaign was trying to get Lyra back. Spoilers, Lyra's here, they succeeded, sorry about that. And Ali is going to be playing Lyra, but reverted back to level 1 as a result of her experiences while she was absent from the world. So, what we're going to do now is go through and build a bit of a backstory narrative for all of you together that's brought you to the Tempest Guild. Now, Lyra really obviously is part of the Tempest Guild. However, there are a few narrative threads that I can see really clearly could potentially link her to one, maybe even 3 of you, actually. Lyra suddenly discovering this affinity for mushrooms, would want to go and research them in the Unseen University, I'm imagining, at some point. That potentially puts you in contact with Krasus. Also, if you're looking for mushrooms, you need to be heading to the underground, down in the underground. So probably as well that puts you in contact with potentially Tetra and Claire's character. Potentially, depending on how we build them up and sort of figure where they're from. So potentially there's some links there. Niles, I'm seeing potentially some links traveling between the cities. Now, when you sort of picture Niles, Matt, is he more of a city folk? Does he generally travel through the cities? Is he a resident of any of the cities, or is he more a bit of a traveler, a bit of a wanderer?
My initial thoughts on Niles was I was originally, when I was creating Niles, I wanted to create more of like a servant, or like more of like a retainer character, so perhaps representing or being a part of maybe like a minor noble family, which probably explains a little bit why he maybe is, maybe a little bit more charismatic than maybe what you're letting on. So that's where I was going with that backstory. I feel as though Niles may or may not necessarily be part of this. Like, I think, there's some backstory there with maybe the noble house that he's serving.
Okay.
But I would say that he is probably a bit of a traveler anyway. Probably traveling here and there, hearing stories and sort of relaying that information back to this particular family. Keeping them up to date with what's happening in the world, which is also why he's actually quite like I imagine him being a little bit more of a fanboy of the Tempest Guild overall. I think he would have been keeping up to date with with the news of their accomplishments, and has been sort of feeding that to his retainers, to the people that he works for, essentially.
Amazing. I love that. That's really cool, actually. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, there's some things we do with that. So the Owlin and Aarakocra generally on Nostea, the Aarakocra and Owlin generally work for the messenger guilds for the most part. However, there are a number of noble families both in the Owlin and Aarakocran communities who sort of kind of function almost as bureaucrats over the messenger guild system, as well as other commerce throughout the various port cities of Oceania. So Palin, Oxenfurt, probably even down towards the far south as well. The elemental states, there's quite a presence of Owlin and Aarakocra around the elemental states as well. That potentially puts you in contact with Tetra, obviously being a Genasi. Genasi are all from the elemental states. The release of elemental energy in that area is what created the Genasi. They are quite a local phenomenon. So that potentially threads you through to Michael's character Tetra, which is good, and also potentially gives you access to Oxenfurt as well. Maybe your family has a minor presence here, and you're kind of you've offered to come here as a way of like promoting your family's interests, knowing that you're actually coming to join the Tempest Guild. Maybe that's how you explain to them. Being a bit of a fanboy of the Tempest Guild, a fan owl of the Tempest Guild, you've kind of pitched as like, oh, our interests in Oxenfurt are not represented. I could go there, being the largest port city in Oceania. I could further our interests there. And they found like, yeah, that's nice. That sounds great. Yes, absolutely. And then you're just there like rubbing your claws together going, I'm gonna join a guild. Brilliant. Okay.
Finally.
That's good. Okay, so that potentially links you to Tetra. Krasus and Lyra we've linked. So Claire's character is the hardest one to link to all of you because given your status as a dwarven-looking construct, you are most likely from the dwarven continent of Balmia.
Yes, from deep in the mountains.
Mm.
They are a bit murky about their backstory, but they remember some sort of escape. A blinding light, this weird feeling across their body of like what they found out later is wind, and then making their way to a port town, which was their first sort of interaction with the world. And that's where they heard about the Tempest Guild and
Can I make a
Lockie. They heard about Lockie.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I have a possible suggestion if you're open to it, Claire. Rather than walking to a port town, your character, after that flash of light, finds themselves in Palin, standing near the now functional giant portal.
Yep.
Ooh.
Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
that makes
okay.
a lot of sense. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then making your way to Oxenfurt to try and locate Lockie, asking around. I mean, people know of the Tempest Guild and know of Lockie. And probably even when you arrived there with the giant portal, you might have even caught a glimpse of Lockie flying up on an air of decency on the skyship towards this giant castle and then flying flying west towards Oxenfurt.
It's like in what was it, Hawkeye? You know, with the Avengers, where Watsy sees all of like the Avengers happening around her, and she's just like, "Oh wow!"
Oh yeah. In the first episode, right? Like all the first movie's happening, but it's from her perspective.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Hawkeye yet. It sounds like I probably should.
Oh,
It's
Owen.
good.
It's really good.
Yeah,
We watched it
Owen.
this time. It
we
was
did.
great.
It was brilliant.
Mhm.
You know, there's punishments for the Owen comment. No, that's fine. That's fair.
Yes.
I deserve it. When I deserve it, it's fine. Okay, yeah, I'll make sure to check that out. Okay, perfect. I really like that, actually. That does a really nice job of bringing you into contact with some of the interesting elements of the world, and also gives you a good reason to have sought out the Tempest Guild.
Well, my thought is, if we're all open to it, is like you said, they don't have a name. They had these series of runes, and someone that they met up with named them. So if
I actually have an idea about who that might be, if you'll.
Yeah.
So your character actually has been here for a couple of days. When you went out the front to meet the rest of the group, during that introduction, you've actually been in Oxenfurt for 4 or 5 days. Having seen an Air of Decency leave, you were able, through a group known as the Harpers, a tiefling woman, noticing your interest, approached you. Purple skin, horns with jewelry drilled through. Introduces herself as Susurrus, notices your interest in the guild, and has some questions about your location, having, from her eyes, it looks like you've kind of fallen through the portal. Given that you have no knowledge of this, no memory of this, no understanding, she sort of dismisses it a bit and says, oh, it must have been a trick of the eyes. When she understands that you want to meet up with Lockie, she organises a meeting and directs you to Oxenfurt. As you arrive, a ship flies overhead, a skyship, and emerging from the docks is a tall figure made of bronze, electrum, and brass, powered by gears covered in metal plates. Hello there, I'm Lockie. I hear you've been trying to get in contact with me.
This one is overawed by you're not what we expected. You are made of metal alloy, and they'll try and reach out to like.
Yes, the patency of my electrum shell is. What are you doing?
Amazing, such craftsmanship. Oh.
Well, I was designed by a wonderful genius among the giants.
What is a giant?
Giants are a race, a very large race, with lots of powerful magic.
Okay. What is this one?
I was going to say that you're some sort of warforged, but you appear a bit different. The runes on your body, they appear to be giant in origin.
The tall ones.
Yes. Would you like to come aboard? I can introduce you to my maker, and we can see if she can figure out where you might have come from.
On that thing?
Yes.
Like... Yes?
You are invited back aboard the skyship, which travels very, very quickly. The skyship is very different to the others that you've seen flying around Nostea, most of which appear to be wooden, mostly built of wood with metal plating and propellers to move them. This craft is all made of metal, this silvery white metal that appears very, very light and quite heat resistant. And the inside, almost for a moment, you could have sworn it seemed a bit bigger than the outside of the craft. As this silvery, sleek ship flies through the air. It moves incredibly quickly, and after a few hours, you arrive at an enormous citadel. Hovering high above the ground, glass encasing the outer sections, is an enormous citadel. Welcome to the Storm's Redoubt. This is a giant castle. It is very large.
It is also rather high off the ground.
It is. That won't be a problem. We shall be on the ground inside the castle.
That took a while to compute.
How am I going with Lockie, by the way? It's always terrifying to play a character.
Amazing. I was just about to write in chat with it.
You are brought through and taken to a large laboratory. White walls with various glasswork and metal designs that you can't even begin to comprehend cover the walls. And after a few moments, a woman, easily 14, 15 feet tall, steps into the room as you are just dwarfed by her.
Hello.
Thank you. She appears to be quite young to your eyes, almost maybe even late teenager, early 20s, long flowing white hair, light purplish skin color, and these very dark, stormy, almost purplish eyes as she stares down at you. Dressed in these long flowing white robes with silver bands around her arms, almost forming like braces, with a series of wires and cables connecting the braces up her arm and to this device strapped to her back. As she leans down and looks at you, she looks over at Lockie and speaks in a language that you're not familiar with. Lockie responds in kind, growing in size a little bit as she steps in, as he takes on his more giant forged aspect. And then he reaches down and holds out a hand to you. Please step on my hands. I'm going to place you on the examination table now.
Okay.
That was easy. You just step on. He lifts you up very slowly and places you on a large bench top. The woman, this giant woman, gives you a very sad smile. You can see her eyes are quite red. There's dark rings under her eyes as if she's been crying or hasn't been sleeping for some time. Lockie doesn't sort of appear to make any comment of this, but you can see him hovering around her. Even though it probably is annoying to have a metal warforged just like leaning over you at all times over your shoulder, she doesn't seem to mind or be bothered too much by it. Hello there. I am, well, you can call me Sinmari.
What is a Sumari?
Sinmari is my name, a designation used to identify me amongst my kind. Lockie says that you haven't used one.
I have this.
Yes, a series of runes that are similar to ours, but they appear very old, almost like a very ancient form of giant. Would you mind if I had a look at them?
No, not at all.
Sinmari spends the next 5 minutes examining you, taking notes. Well, I have the translations if you would like to read them.
Will this give me a name?
It could do, if you wanted to use one of these as your name. There are a number of meanings and words that you can draw from these runes. Some of them I've been able to interpret quite easily, some I've had to make a bit of a guess. Some of them, I'm not even sure what they are. They seem to be magical, arcane runes in nature, but connected to the giant's language, almost like using words to guide magic. Sorry, I can see that you are a bit confused by this. Some of these could be your name if you would like to use one of them.
If you will give this one, we can use it.
Did you have any names in mind that you wanted to use?
Well, I've got the Ayat of where that runic name comes from.
Yes.
So there's 8 of them.
Mm.
If you wish. I don't know what you were thinking, but I do have those.
Well, it's up to you. I think what we could do then is come up with a nickname for you that's easy for people to use, if you'd like, or we can go with the name that you picked.
I was going to ask to roll the d8, and I've got eight runes.
Roll a d8, go for it. Yeah, roll a d8, absolutely. No, 100%.
Oh, I'm online. How do I roll? How do I roll again? How do I D&D? Okay. 1D.
Excuse me, Lucy. My dog's just walked in and is sneezing at me because I've clearly not paid her enough attention. Hey, dog.
Okay. 2.
2.
Okay.
What's your name?
It is Nauthiz.
How do you spell that?
Nauthiz.
Nauthiz.
Now these.
I will.
Nauthiz.
Now these.
Nauthiz. Yeah.
Now these.
Nauthiz.
Now these.
Alrighty, I have updated that on the overlay. It should appear in a moment.
Ooh. So behind the scenes, the runes in the character art are Heimdall's runes.
Yeah.
The god.
That's cool.
And so I picked one of his other runes in the set that you throw, and now these is one that means, what does it mean? Just for all the nerds out there.
Wow, playing D&D.
Yeah, who play D&D. There's not a lot of them, but
Endurance?
it means endurance. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, endurance, survival, determination, patience, and will.
Done. That is now updated. That should appear in a moment. That actually, endurance works really well for your character, just saying.
Yeah.
Stone's endurance.
Yeah.
Stones Nauthiz.
Nauthiz.
I love it. Awesome. That should appear in a moment on the overlay. Perfect. I'll just give it a second and it should appear. There we go. So, Nauthiz. Well, that is a wonderful name. In the giant language, it relates to endurance and strength of fortitude. Rather appropriate given your design. You do you not mind if I ask where you have come from? Your design is unique. It is not like the other Warforged we have seen since we arrived here.
We were used as guards, guarding hoards of treasure, wealth, deep in the mountains.
So the dwarves had their own attempt to copy the giant forged designs. It makes sense the elves and humans had a go as well with the Warforged. Interesting. I think it is a very elegant design made of stone.
We had been sleeping for many years.
Do you know what awoke you?
Only a few days ago? Recently? I don't understand time. And
Sinmari and Lockie share a bit of a look. A very meaning-laden look. And then
we woke, we woke and our minders, they were scared. They were angry. They destroyed. They were scared of something. I left. I ran. That is the use of I, yes?
Yes, that was very good. First person singular pronoun. Very, very, very well done.
Well, there is only I left, you see.
Oh. You can see Lockie looks a bit sad. The lights behind his eyes dim ever so slightly. Sinmare sort of gives him a bit of a look, gives you a bit of a look. Yes, it was very lovely to meet you. Unfortunately, I have quite a lot I need to be doing. Lockie, if you could please take this one back to the guild, perhaps they would be best suited to help in her. Yes. You see Sinmare grow quite quiet, and as she quickly moves up her sleeve and dabs at one of her eyes and moves out of the room, Lockie shrinks back down to his Warforged size, his humanoid size.
That tall one's eye holes were leaking.
Yes, they've been doing that a lot recently. Lockie kind of looks a bit lost for words almost. Well, I better take you back to the guild.
Can this one be functional at the guild?
I'm not sure. It is up to you to find function now. You will have to decide and determine your own function.
That is an odd concept.
The guild is a safe place to do it. Perhaps talking to Azure might be good. Azure is very full of ideas.
That is good, because I am not.
With that, Lockie gives you a nod, leads you back to the ship, and brings you back to Oxenfurt. As you are dropped off back at the guild, you're introduced to Azure, a 6-foot-tall human man with very, very enthusiastic affect, dressed in flowing orange robes and just full of life and enthusiasm, who is so excited to meet you, is happy to fill any silence that you leave in the conversation, and more importantly, is very encouraging of anything you want to try. For the next week or so, Azure essentially tries to get you to try a whole bunch of different things. Mira constantly has to come and take Azure away to get him to actually do his job in the guild, which often means that you're kind of left doing these tasks for a couple of hours before Azure comes back and goes you've dredged the entire river. When I said to build a sandcastle, I was more thinking just a small. Wow, you've done a really good job. Wow, it's incredible. Or you've picked every fruit on the tree and the tree. Wow. That's impressive. After a little bit, Mira comes and has a bit of a chat to you. Azure kind of standing behind. Hello. We were thinking perhaps we might have a task that you could do if you were interested.
Yes, this one loves tasks.
Azure mentioned. Yes, I'm sure we'll find a way to pay back all of the people that Azure has had you help. You hear Azure behind make a bit of a coughing noise. Yes, Nauthiz, we were wondering, you were a guard, I think you've mentioned, to a sewer, correct?
That is right, yes.
You have some martial ability?
So they'll just like stand up, get their war pick on one side and shield on the other, and just kind of go into a defensive stance, just automatically.
Does that feel purposeful? Does that give you, when you contemplate the concept of fighting or guarding or protecting, how does that feel? Does that feel right? Is that something you would like to do?
This one has been thinking a lot, and this one has decided that we no longer want to protect things, we want to protect people, because people are amazing.
You see this big smile break across Mira's muzzle. Well, come inside. I might have something that you can do. Some people who could travel with you, and you could help protect them, and they could help protect you, like a family. How does that sound?
This one needs to know what a family is, but...
Like a squad, like a team?
We understand.
Perfect. Okay, so that gets us Nauthiz? Nauthiz?
Nauthiz.
That gets Nauthiz in very nicely.
Alrighty.
Nowdy.
Nowdy.
Feels Australian now.
I can definitely see like a little nickname like Now also popping up.
Now? Yeah.
Now's good too. I like Now. Yeah,
They'll
Now's
take
good.
You give them.
Now actually works quite well. Now? Everyone's like, what? When? It's like, no, now!
Yeah.
Niles is definitely going to call you Now. Being an owl.
Amazing,
An owl.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alrighty. In that case, then I think the easiest way to link together the two remaining groups. I almost called you Lockie. Then I'm going to have to work really hard to not call you by your previous characters' names. Tetra and Niles. In that case, then, Tetra being a Genasi from the elemental states, Niles, the Owlin and Aarakocra having quite a bit to do with the trade between the two. Oh, sorry, you go, Joe.
Sorry, I was just going to pop in. I think this is my personal opinion. I think Tetra and Lyra would potentially have more potential to meet, and I think potentially Niles and myself would have more potential.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there might be a little bit of a wrinkle in that.
What was that? Sorry, Michael.
So I was saying, where I was saying to Jared, wait until you hear my backstory is, because I see where you're coming from, but it might be a bit of a wrinkle.
If anything, I'd even say there's more potential for Tetra and Krasus to meet, given Astral Elf who researches things and Tetra's. Well, look, okay, let's Tetra. Let's jump in and explore a little bit about what you had in mind.
Yeah.
So Crystal Genasi are exceptionally rare for a number of reasons. Exceptionally rare. We should go through a little bit about Crystal Genasi and your backstory to give a bit of an exploration of it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm interested to hear this.
Tetra has been around for a little bit, probably been around a bit longer than Nauthiz. But she...
We don't know how long Nauthiz has been around for.
We don't know. We don't. But I mean, conscious.
I mean, Now's here now, but Now's also been here previously.
Now's been here then.
What is Now?
But Now is also here now. But I'm talking about Now's now. Hasn't been very long.
It's begun.
Yes.
It's amazing when you know a campaign meme has already begun in sessions.
Gotta love a good dice roll.
Well, we'll see. Tetra came into sort of woke up inside a geode. So when she came into consciousness, it was arrayed around her, glittering from her own internal light, and then she was uncovered.
That's amazing. I'm getting like a very like almost like a womb almost like that sort of yeah.
Not dissimilar, or like a thunder egg kind of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thunder eggs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now this is, you don't have to go with this at all. Like it's not even like, it's more of a joke than I was thinking. It'd be very funny if my parents found you in one of their massive adventures, brought you home. You're like my adopted, like, sibling, and they like you way more. We don't have to go with it. I think that's just really funny. But we don't have to do that. I thought it would just be a funny joke.
That is pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. So should I go and talk about what I was thinking for subclass?
Go. I think we kind of know where you might be heading with subclass. I think most people might have guessed, but go for it. I think we can talk about it. It's not a problem because we've kind of talked about subclass ideas for Lyra. Claire's got one in mind clearly.
I have one in mind as well.
Yeah. It's impossible not to.
Yeah.
Just a second, I just got to find
Yeah, I have like 2 in mind.
It was Circle of Stars, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, it was Circle of Stars. Thank you. That's the one.
That's okay.
Yes. But the connection being is the glittering crystals she saw around her inside the geode. She was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's pretty." And she's looking at that and got familiar with that. And then the first time she walked out and saw the sky, it looked the same. There were patterns inside the geodes that mapped themselves
To the constellations above.
Okay, I can see now where we might be.
So there is potential for you two to have potentially because obviously being so with your Genasi origin, it's because of the way in which Genasi have been created through the release of elemental energy in the elemental states as a result of that magical accident, that magical explosion. Probably that general geographic area is where you would have been uncovered, Tetra. I'm going to say then that potentially, let's go a little bit with what Jared was saying with Krasus's parents, maybe traveling to that area for research, hearing about a strange formation of crystal clusters around the area, went to go explore. You'd already been uncovered by this point, or maybe they uncover you, but you are a fully grown adult inside this structure. Does that work with you, Michael?
Yeah.
And so, or maybe even, let's make it more recent. How recently did you want to have been uncovered? Fairly recently?
A couple of weeks, month, maybe.
Okay, yeah. I'm actually going to say, Krasus, this was your first opportunity to go and do something by yourself.
Your summer camp dig.
This is your opportunity to. So you'd heard about this strange cavern in the elemental states, towards the borders of the elemental states, this series of network of crystalline structures that seem to have an odd resonance with magic, and also seem to have an odd resonance with moonlight, only lighting up when the sky outside is dark. That kind of interests you. That could be a new discovery. There could be something there to discover.
And I 100% will be looking for things like this, like trying to get the drop on them. I've probably taken off. Maybe I probably should have brought like a retinue of people, but I want to be the one to claim it.
Yeah. You don't want to share the glory.
No,
traveling to the elemental states pretty much by yourself. This is probably the first time you've had to be out and about without your parents. You're book smart. You're not street smart. The guide that you hire, you think you've paid up front for like a week's worth of like guide. They tell you that after the first day, it's like, oh no, that was a day. And you're like, well, I don't have enough money with me then. And they go, oh, that's a shame. And then leave you there at the entrance to these caverns. This rather brutal fire Genasi is like, oh, that's a shame, isn't it, mate? And wanders off. And you're sort of left there like with a pith helmet, and not really any experience caving.
No.
Traveling down.
Yes, no, this would be fine. This is good. No, onwards, I guess.
Traveling down into the caves. At first, you're quite apprehensive to go down there at night, but the cavern itself is well illuminated. It is bright. It is. Oh, that's a gorgeous puppy, man. Looking so cute, man.
It's so big.
She came to say hello, guys.
Oh, stream puppy.
Hello.
Oh.
I love that blank expression dogs give when you're trying to engage with them, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
As they just stare at you with their like cold, dead eyes. No. I'm kidding. I couldn't resist with their lovely, like, warm, expressive eyes, but also a bit confused because they're like, I don't know what you're asking.
Yeah.
As you head down to the caves, you're a bit apprehensive at first. not really having had much experience traversing through caves in the dark. But the caves themselves are not cramped and tight. They're actually quite large and expansive, and the glow from the crystal veins through the walls is enough to light up and let you pass through. The caverns seem deep. In fact, as you head a bit deeper, you can almost see this, like, on the borders and through some of the cracks, what looks to be this massive pit down in the very center, where earth and stone has been liquefied and pushed out in waves away from this thing. And after a few, probably minutes of examining this, you realize it almost looks like an impact site. You've seen asteroid impacts
nice.
in Nostea before. This almost looks a little bit similar. I can see Michael smiling. I'm assuming I'm on the right track.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yeah, you've seen these before. As you begin heading down, the crystals seem to grow much thicker and much more expansive throughout the caverns. That glow persistent as you head darker and deeper down. As you reach the bottom of the open chasm, this rift that's opened up on this impact site, you see a massive stone boulder, huge, with light shining from cracks in its surface. This beautiful blue purple, almost like an ultraviolet light shining from inside this thing. If you had known about radiation, you probably wouldn't have approached, but you don't. So you no. As you, because it's a, like, in our world, if you see anything glowing, don't go near it. In magic worlds, though, absolutely go touch it. As you approach and begin looking through. Yeah, Ali's like, yeah, Constitution save. I need a Constitution save for radiation sickness. DC 5. DC was 30. This thing is CCN 147, so that's not going to go well for you now. As you approach this large stone boulder and begin examining it, this loud crack echoes through the center, and you watch as this line etches itself along the stone.
Okay. I will probably be taken aback by that, and I'll sort of probably stumble backwards, gather myself, stand back up, and I'll start sort of scanning. I'll start walking around it, around the sides, and just sort of having a bit of it, I guess, scanning it, looking to see if it's still, if the structure itself is still, if it's going to crack any further. Look for anything that's sort of going on there, I guess.
Could you make me an investigation check?
Now, I probably would have good investigation, but I don't currently
have a background.
I probably would.
We're gonna go through backgrounds. Don't worry.
Skills or anything yet? So
yeah, no, that's fine.
If it's just +3 for now, so it's 10.
10. As you look at this thing, you get the distinct impression that these crystals that you're finding, there's probably more inside this thing. It resembles a geode or a thunder egg.
Okay.
Items that you've probably seen and had heard of before. Some spells actually use geodes in their composition. But this is a massive one. We're talking sort of 20 feet across. There must be a lot of crystals inside this thing.
Awesome. Okay. Now I have... Yeah, no.
You'd have a pick with you at this stage if you hold back the pick and crack it down, trying to sort of open up. With this hiss of air, the geode cracks open, almost as if it's pressurizing or letting out air. You're not sure which, whether the air is going in or out, as this sound echoes through the chamber. And as the geode cracks in half, the light shines even brighter. And for a moment, you have to close your eyes and turn away. And then as the light slowly dims, you see lying. Semi-fetal position, Michael? What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of slightly curled up is a woman. Greyish, purplish blue skin. Hair, this crystalline purple colour with crystals actually growing out through her hair and across her body in various points, and a few cracks in her body revealing this gemstone within. And she sort of turns and looks up at you.
Well, that was unexpected.
I will honestly, like, because I've went on a lot of these little adventures, and they've all fizzled out.
You've never found anything, like, ever. It's all been a disaster.
Honestly, when you talk to me, I literally look at you. I have shock on my face. Like I am speechless. I don't say anything to your first like. It's almost like you've got it. Yeah, you're waving your hand in front of me. I'm just like mouth slightly agape.
Is there anyone in there? You can tap on your head.
I sort of get stunned. It like almost reverberates through me because I'm that rigid. What? Now what are you?
Pleased to meet you as well, I suppose. I guess I'm a Tetra.
I smacked myself.
Mate.
I smacked myself to make sure it's not a dream.
It hurts as you suck yourself.
You take 8 poop points and die.
Don't tempt me.
Shit.
Sure.
Lovely to meet you. My name is Krasus and Taurus.
Right.
I can't. Do you have any recollection of why you're here? What happened? Do you know?
Not a lot. I'm just been here for a while. I was sleeping for a bit. I think I woke up at some stage.
I think that might have been my intervention. You were in this crystalline structure, and I used this pickaxe here to. It cracked, and then I wanted to discover what was inside, and I found you.
My crystals are inside. Look at that. Just a second. She's gonna lean over and she's gonna pick up one crystal about this size and put it in a pocket. And there's another little one.
Now there is one question I have to ask.
Wearing any clothes, so she's just gonna.
Yeah, are you clothed? You're not clothed, are you?
No. She's gonna collect a couple of crystals and then.
Oh, if you're not clothed, I would 100% take my robe off and put it over you to like.
Yeah.
I don't know what like obviously a crystal genocide has. I don't know.
Oh no, Tetra looks like a naked woman.
Okay, I 100% put my robe over Tetra. I start looking away as I realize what I'm seeing, and I like start looking away and not like staring. So definitely get the robe around Tetra.
Well, thank you, and she'll have it drape over her shoulders. Then she'll just touch one little stone, and it's the one that flies out and starts opening. And she turn around. It's a little colder out here, isn't it?
It's the middle of the night, actually. I didn't really have. Well, everything was fine. Like I planned everything and mapped it out, but I'll be honest, I got a little bit giddy, so I came forth here. I shouldn't have went into the cave at night. But do you know where you are? I guess I'll give you the rundown. You're on the plane of Nostea. Have you heard of this plane before?
I mean, I think so. There's something about it in my crystals back there. It's got a. Is it a center point with things around it?
No, it's a plane. There's many different planes throughout. Sort of, I guess what is it, throughout the universe. Owen, is that what it is? Or
yeah, you can use throughout the universe works.
Okay.
To skip, because I don't 100% know how to RP this next bit, but to skip over what she actually does know is she's aware of Nostea and sort of where it is, and sort of and a bit of how the planes lock together. How she comes across this knowledge is just sort of in her. It's not like she's learnt it from somewhere. She just understands the Nostea is, it's this planet here. It's got this other body that spins around it there, and there's things and people that live on it. It's like she's from a foreign place, but she's not like
There's some local knowledge, including language, which seems to have been imprinted upon her.
Yeah. Like, she's talking to you in common.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Let's. How do you know our language? Have you been able to study it before?
study? No, I just got a nothing.
Books. I bring out like a bunch of books I have. You will notice that like I quickly hide one. It looks like a sort of more of a romantic novel.
a light novel.
It's one of those like corny light novels.
Yeah, nice. Love
Lusty
it.
Ogonian maid.
It's not that.
It's
Tabaxi wants a wife.
It had like sort of like a sort of massive man, like sort of like doing a heroic pose, and a woman sort of like looking up at him, sort of thing. Like I don't know, like so those Mills and Boone books and stuff.
The Goliaths. Let's call it like the Goliaths
really
heart
corny
or something like that.
romance.
Like heart of stone, and it's a Goliath on the front, like standing there with his like.
Yeah. So I hide it real quick because I don't want him to see her to see that.
Which is hilarious, given that you've like cracked into like a literal heart of stone. And found
Yeah.
it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm definitely gonna have to like write sections of this book and then have it appear at various points throughout the campaign.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be collecting these books throughout the campaign too.
I need to make a few then. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the heads up.
For you, Owen.
Okay. Thank you.
So she'll sort of hold it up by just its cover and let the rest of the book dangle and just be like,
No, please don't do that. No, please. No, don't dangle it. It's that is quite priceless. It's please.
okay.
I'll probably take it off Tetra and sort of like look at it again, like hold it, like check the pages and like make sure everything's clean and.
Wow.
Oh, I love it when the druid and the wizard get together.
Like I said, I'm trying to play like a serious character, but he has like a lot of, like these little things that just pierce the seriousness.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know how much I'm going to learn from that, but I just gotta know things, you know. I can do things, you know.
Well, do you have a drive to do anything? Do you want to get out into the world and explore?
Well, yeah, sure. There's a lot out there I haven't seen.
Well, perfect. I have to go back to the Unseen University for a time, but there is these guilds, these adventuring guilds that are in the world, and I've sort of been showing some interest in them lately, building a bit of a name for myself. My parents, they're quite famous, and I've always lived in their shadow. So, would you like to come along?
She looks around the cave, and back at her sundered geode. Yeah, all right.
Perfect.
Got anything better else to do?
I can
All right.
try crawling back in my bed here, but I don't think it'll be as comfortable as it was before.
I mean, we can try and take it with us if you like. And then I start like futilely like trying to pull it.
It weighs a lot more than what you're ever going to be able to carry. Maybe Gross's Strongheart from your light novel could have picked it up, but not you.
Actually, I was a bit too hasty there. I don't think we can bring that with us.
I think I've got the important parts anyway.
Perfect. Well, yes, I guess we should get going. And I just start walking off to the Unseen University. It's like it's like nighttime. It is not the time to do it, but
You make it back to the elemental states. Specifically, you make it back to Drolmethion, the capital city. Charter a ship back, an airship back. I mean, you've probably already got passage for one person back already. The rest of your funds are used to get Tetra back, and also buy her some clothes.
Good.
He hasn't seen mine so far, but yeah,
No.
probably should.
She doesn't seem too worried about it.
What I will ask though,
The Genasi's reaction.
No,
Oh, no.
when we leave the crystalline caverns and we go into the night sky and we see like the galaxy looking at us and the stars, what is Tetra's response to that?
That's a very good question.
At first she's sort of awestruck. And she's just staring at the sky for a while. Well, that's funny. And she'll start tracing patterns in the sky. And as she does, you see that as her arms and her hands are moving around, and as she does as well, little glints seem to come off as if the crystals are focusing something.
Right.
Focusing light that you're not entirely sure what the origin of it is, but it might be the stars.
Are you tracing constellation? Like I would almost be looking at you tracing and be like,
Yeah,
I'll
actually,
be sitting there
she's perfectly tracing the constellations.
Yeah, I'll be in wonderment too, because like I've studied this like Astral Elf. Like I'll probably look and be like, "Do you know what you're doing?"
Well, I'm reading.
I pulled out some books I have on constellations and stuff, and I'll probably start showing you like, you're doing this, and this, and
what is? No, I'm not. It's up there. Don't worry about those. It's up there.
I put the book away and I take in the moment with Tetra and I look at the night sky with her. Maybe get away from. Maybe Tetra's good there for me because pulls me away from the books and gets me actually looking at the night sky. And I will point out Antares, which is a star, like for our world. But Owen, if you're more than happy to, you can have it as a prominent star in this world as well. I don't know.
Yeah, quite a bright star in the night sky.
That's
if you know where to look. Mm.
So I pointed out to Tetra as well and go, "Oh yes, that's our namesake up there for my family."
Well,
I guess it'd be a very cinematic, beautiful moment that the two share staring up at the night sky.
Yeah. Your journey back to Oxenfurt, you get a bit of a chance to know and understand each other. The differences that kind of separate you and make you unique actually kind of offset your individual neuroticisms in a way. For Krasus, who is very much like focused on knowing and understanding things, Tetra kind of brings you out of your head and makes you appreciate the moment. For Tetra, who has no understanding of social norms and accepted behaviors within the world, your social anxiety that you have about like people not paying you enough attention compared to your parents, or like people ignoring you for your parents, has kind of like taught you how to blend in and how to like dress and how to understand and read social currents. You were able to kind of use that to help guide Tetra to not just walk around like nude, for example, in the city. Yeah.
So I think I would definitely like let her have my cloak until we get.
Also, like this white powder that you brought with you for some reason.
Wow. Time.
Oh, that's
focus.
You had a bit of a detour going back to Oxenfurt.
We went via the gnomes. They provided us with some excellent alchemical creations. What was that? Michael?
I said, if you're going to give drugs to the Druid, this is going to be a great campaign.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'd definitely let her have my cloak, and then when we get to Dromethion, I imagine looking at like Tetra's like garb, it almost looks very similar to what they probably have in the elemental states.
So arriving back in the elemental states, for the most part, Tetra is just mistaken for another Earth Genasi. An Earth Genasi tailor that you take her to is very happy to outfit her with the very traditional Earth Genasi robes. The colours that Tetra chooses are much more blues, much more like the Water Genasi, and the Earth Genasi is happy to make the adjustments to the cloth and fit it. But this coloration and choice of colours with the whites and the blues and the azures really kind of highlights the crystalline nature of Tetra. And you do notice a few Earth Genasi sort of whispering and looking at her as you pass through, but none of them make any attempt to approach you or have any conversation. They're more just curious as they see Tetra. Arriving back in Oxenfurt, knowing and sort of learning from Tetra that Tetra has some magic that she doesn't really understand how she uses, whereas you're a scholar. All of your magic has come from study and training. Probably there's an interest there for you to kind of understand how Tetra's magic works. And so spending a bit of time getting to know her, you realize very quickly that if you present Tetra to your parents or to the world right now, you know your parents are going to take credit for it. They're going to be the ones who claim they understand her magic. They're going to overshadow you once again. You have to keep Tetra's nature for the moment. Someone else could still steal this discovery from you. You don't understand her enough. You don't understand her magic enough. You don't understand who she is, where she comes from enough. Now's not the time to reveal Tetra. You know that taking her to your parents now is just going to give them cause to take control of this research like they have everything else in your life. And and
I think
take
there's
credit.
also, I think because Krasus and playing serious, it doesn't mean he's going to be like an asshole. He's like he has like a kind soul. So I think there's also probably a part of him that like being with Tetra and like getting to know her. I think the thrill of like the discovery aspect of things, I think dulls a bit because I think he's like doesn't want to put that on Tetra.
Living person, not some.
Yeah. Well, what I
relic
discovered is a, like you said, conscious living person, and I think I would lose interest in the discovery angle, and almost like just leave Tetra as their own person, not to be poked and prodded.
Yeah. And maybe that's what helps kind of drive you towards the guilds, like knowing that your last expedition went surprisingly well, but given that you were kind of left alone out of the caves, it maybe dawns on you how potentially you could have been in a lot more danger, and having people to back you up. Maybe spending time with Tetra kind of teaches you, maybe having other people to help back me up is not a bad idea.
I mean,
I think it's also just...
There was this one time when you were traveling back over that someone was about to rip you off. And she's like, that doesn't seem right. I don't think this one's being quite honest with us. And the little stone that circles around her just starts going a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. And she's like, you sure you're not going to give us something fairer than that?
Make me a persuasion check.
Yes, the charisma.
Here we go, charisma.
Charisma, oh no.
Let's go.
There we go. Oh,
Not bad considering.
The older human merchant who you were buying supplies off gives a bit of a pause. All right, call your stone off. Fine. Yes, I can go a little bit cheaper if that's what you're looking for. I just try to make a living. And he lowers his price by a couple of silver.
Cool. But yeah, I think I was thinking about this too, like traveling with Tetra, like realizing it's not about the discovery, it's about like this is a person in front of me. Like I think it makes sense. Maybe when I went to the cave, I was 8 wisdom, and it explains why I'm 10 wisdom now. I've matured a little bit.
yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
Alrighty, let's get our last 2 lovely members. So how can we link Niles and Lyra? Niles being a merchant or from a mercantile noble family within the Owlin group, being an Oxenfurt makes a lot of sense. I wonder... Okay, I got an idea. Tell me how this sounds for you. So Niles, using this excuse to come to Oxenfurt to further your family's interest here, maybe they have no presence in Oxenfurt yet. This is one of the big things that they're working up towards. And you offer to kind of go to scout ahead, get a bit of an idea about what the landscape is like, whether there's a chance for your family to get their claws into this particular area of the market, their talons into this area of the market. You go to check out the markets. Obviously, being a vibrant place where a number of merchants work, and you know that it's a good chance to meet some people, get some names, get an idea of who the connections are that you want to be talking to, maybe find some suppliers who can help out your family with their trading. And as you're there, you are looking through an area of, it looks to be sort of alchemical ingredients and potions over this end of the sea ship dock. And as you're sort of finishing up talking to this lovely Tabaxi gentleman who promises you that his trading group are 100% legit, we can get you any goods that you need. Just don't ask too many questions about where they come from.
Woo. Woo. My God, man.
Oh my God.
Man.
Okay.
Yes,
One more time, please, Matt. Podcast listeners, everyone's crying. Okay.
Oh my God.
The Tabaxi holds out a paw, shakes your hands. Yes, just don't ask too many questions about where we get them from, okay? But anything you need.
I would.
Anything you need, you just say it. I will get it for you. If you want things that other people have, you just tell us. We will.
Oh.
I'm gonna put my drama skills to use now, and I am not going to react.
Niles is just looking at this tabaxi, unblinking and just like nodding along and
yeah, that definitely makes
and hooting a little bit like in like agreeance.
Definitely after a few moments of like this unblinking like headlight stare from Niles's eyes, which are about 20% of your entire face. So it's quite a large portion of your face is eye. Tabaxi sort of like lets go of your hand. I must close up shop now. Pleasure to meet you. And he pulls down the lining of this particular store, closing it shut, which causes you to kind of stumble back a bit. And as you stumble back, your wings bump into someone behind you and knock them. Lyra.
Oh. Pardon me.
Hi. No, all good. I think no harm done. She stands up and dusts herself off.
A few spores kind of like fall off you as you dust.
Seems to be covered in that substance. I was just looking at it before.
It's the low charisma. You seem to be covered in a substance, strange woman.
Yes. What is that?
I just fell on the ground, so it's possibly just dirt. You mean this?
No.
And like she just like takes her arm and
Oh.
You mean this, right?
Wow. Yes, I was just looking at that I was just looking into what it is, whether or not it is something that my family may want to buy. I am not that well versed in such substances, but it seems intriguing to me. Perhaps you can tell me a little bit more about this fungus.
Never change, Matt. Never change.
You're absolutely right. It is fungus. It's probably not. I don't think it's something that I would be willing to sell or that you'd really be willing to buy. I mean, it's not really produced in like industrial quantities, I don't think. And it's sort of, I think,
could you
Lyra,
grind it into
it is industrial quantities.
Could you like make it into some sort of medicine that you could give to people? Because I believe that would be quite good. My family are looking at a way of perhaps making a little bit of extra income, and we've been looking into something along these lines.
I wouldn't use the spells themselves. I mean, they're kind of active, but like, they don't really have a lot of the stuff that you're interested in. What you can do, however, is use the spores to grow more mushroom-fruiting bodies, which can produce all the stuff that you're laying. Like, I do have one that's a little bit fun, and she sort of reaches into her pocket that's attached on her hip and pulls out a particular mushroom that she found in the Feywilds, and I've tested this. It is particularly hallucinogenic.
And she found this in.
We're just committing to this now, are we? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Wait, what are you doing with the mushroom? Did you throw it at me, or
no?
Thrust it. I just
It's the word she used, Matt. Try this one. It's particularly hallucinogenic.
Yeah. Niles's head like immediately like sort of recoils back, and it's he like his body doesn't really move, but his head like goes backwards. It's a bit odd. Wow. You found that in the Feywilds? That is there's a lot to talk about there. Are you from the Feywild?
Yes and no. I mean, I was kind of in the Feywilds, and then I don't really know where this body came from, but my original one wasn't from the Feywilds.
This is strange. That is not normal.
As you're talking to her, Niles, you finally notice a badge. Not in display on her chest, just probably on, what would you say, where would Lyra wear her badge of the Tempest Guild? On like a shoulder or on a bag, maybe attached to a bag?
Attached to the bag. It depends on how far her chest piecey kind of chitin extends.
As far as you want.
Yeah, probably on the bag then, because it's probably sort of almost shoulder to shoulder, like sort of it'd be either be stuck like up the top on the fabric or
Yeah. Niles, there's a symbol that you know very well. She has a badge of the Tempest Guild just on her bag.
Niles,
the noise.
Niles. Whoop.
Thank you.
Oh no.
Niles' like plumage gets like real ruffled, and he's just like,
Jesus.
Is that? Are you a member of the Tempest Guild?
Fanboy coming.
Can I just say that this is the setup I was kind of going for when you bumped into her, rather than like, oh, I wonder if I could my family buy the substance that flicks off your skin? I'll be honest, did not see that coming.
Hey.
Sorry, Ali, please continue. Please continue.
They found me.
They what? They found you?
Story. I mean, there was like a gem, and then I was stuck in it for a while, and then Lucky, he was carrying around the gem, and then he finally got me out. I mean, it was only after a fair bit of time, but yeah.
You mean the
Lots of other
Warforged?
people.
The hero of the Temp? Wow, I would love to meet him. I'm a big fan.
I mean,
I've heard of your tales in my travels. I've relayed this information to my family, to my house. Your escapades are well known throughout the land at this point. You are quite the celebrities.
definitely have been some escapades. I mean, we're really nearby. I mean, if you can come with me. I mean, Mira's been recommending that I make friends. I mean,
Mira!
Can I just
Oh my
say,
God.
I'm going to make a prediction. This character's going to break me as a dungeon master.
I'm taking
love
Niles
it.
in a completely different direction to
I
what I
d-
set out to.
I really
you were so
love.
suave before.
I know. It's just sort of. No, do you know what though? I reckon that's Niles panicking and being like,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Niles wasn't expecting to see for this to happen. Like this is completely caught him off guard.
and you've probably now had a week to compose yourself as well
Yeah.
to get it in control. Oh my
Yeah.
God! Please carry on.
Just wait until he meets everyone else, though.
I mean, if you're offering, that would be fantastic. I would love to check out the guild hall and
sure, absolutely. And before I think they've even finished accepting that they're coming, I have grabbed him by the hand or claw talon arm thing, and is full on sprinting as fast as I can, just to the
please be
control.
careful.
Jesus.
I don't want to. My claws are quite sharp. I don't want to hurt you.
Occasionally, your wings just slap someone in the face as you go past because they're folded up, but they don't fully fold against your body. So you've got
No,
these
they're
two
quite-
folded
yeah.
wings. So as Lyra pulls you, poof, you just occasionally slap someone in the face with your wings. And oh my! As you run past. Sorry.
Yeah. Niles is quite quite lanky. I feel like he's a very thin sort of lithe build. So, but his wings are a bit big, like slightly oversized. So yeah, he'd be he'd be knocking into people for sure.
As Lyra runs you through the streets, you pass by almost colliding with this cart filled with these various coloured beans. As Lyra just runs past, you hear this person go, "Beans!" Lyra's I already had one. And keeps powering past as you just get pulled by. As Lyra brings you to the front of the guild hall. I mean, Niles, you've walked past this place probably 3 or 4 times since arriving. Today.
Wow. I can't believe I get to see inside. This is such an honor.
It's much bigger than it was when I first saw it.
Oh, you would have seen it in the beginning then, when it was an original member. Of course. You should be. I would love to hear.
It's
As you reach,
Is this how you join the Tempest Guild? You just stay for adventures.
as you, he's just an owl who moves in. He's just there. And then anytime anyone asks him a question, he's just with his big eyes staring people down. It kind of unnerves people. So they're yes, Niles, whatever you want. No. As Lyra pulls you in, you see sort of sitting, resting eating a bit of food, like fork half up to the mouth. As Lyra just barges in, dragging you behind. You see Leosin, brother of Azure, who's like there, like going like, hello, Lyra. Who's your friend?
Azure?
I met him in the markets.
Wow, a pleasure to meet you. Such
Leosin,
an honor to be in this hall. My goodness.
Leosin, I'm Azure's brother. It's okay, we look very similar.
Oh, heavens! Oh, I'm so sorry. I've only heard. I must have got my information mixed up. I've been on the road for some time. Apologies. My name is Niles Silverwind. At your service.
Niles, nice to meet you. Lyra, did you say you met this man in the market?
Yes, he ran into me, and I guess I kind of fell down. But yeah, he ran into me. He seemed very nice.
And you. He sort of like gives you a bit of a look and a smile, and then goes, just puts an arm around you. Lyra leans in and goes, and you just brought him back. Who is this person?
Very nice person. Mushrooms.
Podcast listeners, Matt is looking around like, how really well done. It's just like eyes wide open, not moving his eyes, just moving his head. It's actually impressive. It's harder to do than you think. Really impressed with your ability to do that. This is, I think, like, I thought Yervith was like your like soul character. No, I was wrong. Niles is the creature that lives deep within you. You let out every Wednesday night for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Where Al?
Oh my god. Sorry, Ali, please continue.
I'm so hideous.
But where I was going with that.
That's fair. Me too.
Lovely. And yeah, it expressed a lot of interest in the guild. And then I thought it would be a really nice thing to bring them here because they seem cool.
Sure. Well, he seems to be quite a fan of the guild. Mira's not here right now. She's out meeting up with Lockie and Jin. But Azure's out the back doing some training. Does he want to go say hi to
Azure?
As your owl ears just like flick over and like focus in.
Hey, you didn't get excited about Jin.
Oh, that perfectly lined up with the gift that I put in the chat, by the way.
Yeah.
In the Discord chat or the Facebook chat?
Facebook chat.
Facebook. I'll have to make sure we share it on the Discord. Yes, my brother Azure is outside doing some kata, I think, some sort of like movement.
Azure is the mastermind of all of this. I must meet him.
You see Theosin kind of like rolls his eyes a bit. He's like, when he's properly guided, yes, Azure is he's an inspirational figure, yes. Lyra, if you want to, I'm just going to finish my my lunch if you wanted to take Niles Silverwind.
Yeah, yes. I'll go take him to introduce. He's if I go see Azure, he's not gonna chase me out of the storage shed with the broom again, is he? There's only a few mushrooms, just a few. It's the perfect spot.
I can't comment on what. Look, let me put it this way: if I catch you growing mushrooms in my room again, there will be a conversation that we need to have about this.
Oh.
And it's just so dark and moist, and there's just the right amount of light.
We've given you the basement. That is enough. Contain yourself, please, to the basement with your mycelium activities.
Niles, should we go see Azure? He may or may not chase you with the broom if you grow mushrooms in the storage shed.
I would hope not. That would be. I don't want to get on the end of the broom from Azure. That would be
genuinely thought you were going to say it'd be an honor to be chased with a broom by such a noble soul.
No, no, I don't want to get on his bad side. I don't want to. I just have to compose myself a little bit. I want to make a good impression. It's nice meeting you, Leo.
Nice meeting you too.
Enjoy your meal.
Thank you.
I'm already gone through the door.
Okay.
Niles, as you follow Lyra outside, the first thing that strikes you is Azure standing right in front of you. The second thing that strikes you is the kata that Azua's doing, you know it. The series of moves and movements that he's performing, it's a complex but early taught sequences of moves to help strengthen and focus monks in their training. Your master taught you this as well.
That is... the nerves sort of fade away a little bit as Niles sees this and goes, such an elegant form.
Azua doesn't seem to have noticed, continues through the movements, carrying on.
Azua?
You may have to throw something at him to get his attention. That's what I usually do. He doesn't like it very much.
Niles is just gonna kind of keep it a bit of a distance and then sort of watch Azua and try and copy some of the moves a little bit.
Okay, I mean, as you start to do the kata and begin to perform it, before too long, your nerves have kind of frayed. This sequence is something you do to help focus your mind and focus your body as a monk, and soon you kind of fall into it. And before too long, you fall into step with Azua, moving with him as you both complete the kata. As you both end on the final movement, hands raised, a very light glow surrounding Azua's fists and hands. You sort of look over and you see his eyes are no longer closed. He's looking at you with this big, beaming smile on his face. Ah! You know the modern kata as well! Amazing!
Yes, I'm well versed in it. I did not realize that you were a practitioner, Azua. Sorry, where are my manners? I am Niles Silverwind. Pleasure to meet you.
It seems you already know my name. I'm Azua. It's lovely to meet you. That was a brilliant sequence you were doing there. I could see you've practiced it and perfected it.
No, not me. No, I'm but a simple servant. I dabble here and there. But I am not as versed as some of my my masters.
No. You have a gift. I can see it. You have a strong fist and a noble heart as you perform this. It was wonderful to watch. I could see that you were following in step with me. I think where did you learn these techniques?
I represent a House Silverwind. We are an Owlin enclave, a little bit isolated. And I've come out into the world to sort of spread our name and reinforce some of our political ties here in the city. But that's besides the point. I'm really just a big fan. I've wanted to come to the Nightwell for some time, and well, I met Lyra in the market, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here.
Azua puts a hand on your shoulder and looks deep into your eyes. Are you happy? Are you doing something you want to do, or do you feel a calling to a higher purpose, Niles?
Well, I mean, I enjoy serving my house and making sure that their needs are met. But yes, I do feel a longing, something missing. Don't quite know what it is, but...
It's a taste of adventure, Niles. That's what you need. You need adventure.
Adventure?
Oh no!
I knew it was coming a second before he did it.
Oh god.
Ooh, indeed. You need adventure, Niles. We're putting together a team. Do you have a resume that I can hand to Mira when she gets back?
A team?
With Lyra.
Yes, of course. I have my credentials ready at any point. Any good servant needs their credentials ready for any type of work that might be needed.
You need to mention that. When you meet Mira, you need to mention that to her, and you need to do exactly what you just did, because for me, I'm like, well, that's fine. But if you do that for Mira and you just pull out... Do you have a business card? Make a card. Make a card.
Okay.
When you next see her, have a card ready. Hand her a card.
House Silverwind should have some. I could maybe get some.
No. Make your card.
My card. I didn't have to do that before.
Just get a piece of paper, write Niles Silverwind Adventurer on it, and then hand it to her. I promise you, she'll love it.
But I heard Mira was into tea as well. I was maybe thinking I would make her some tea and then give her the card. Do you think that would work?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, she loves tea.
I was right. Good. Yes, I'll prepare some for her. That'll be good.
And you just bumped into this wonderful Owlin in the market, Lyra.
Yeah, well, I mean, he bumped into me. I was definitely not in the markets looking for more spores. No, definitely not.
I sense the tides of fate weaving us and pushing us together. This was meant to be. You coming here was no accident.
Oh, dear Lord.
He literally felt like came with me and everything.
This isn't going to be a serious campaign, is it?
Here I am thinking I came to this place for
at times.
Some fungus. I mean, no offense, Lyra, your fungus is rather intriguing, but the taste of adventure? To further the name of House Silverwind. This is right. This is good. I'm excited.
With that, Azua very, very excitedly takes you on a little bit of a tour of the Night Hall, introduces you to some of the other people who are residing there. Howls Under the Earth, the tabaxi, who's currently the blacksmith of the guild, introduces you to Professor Griswold, for podcast listeners, Matt's doing this like very happy open mouth smile each time, which is like, given that Niles has a beak and the only way he can smile is by opening his mouth, is actually really appropriate.
Yes.
It's really quite funny.
He doesn't really have teeth. It's just like
very funny.
Yeah.
Introduces you to Professor Griswold, who is very crazy in your eyes, quite eccentric, and takes you on a bit of a tour, and then tells you to come back in a couple of days, have a business card ready to give Miro, not in front of everyone else, just after the event when you've had a bit of a chance to figure everything out. Walk up and hand her a business card, and that will that'll make her very happy. You watch her face. It's good to see her smile. She's got lots of teeth. You see.
Niles spends those days just crafting the perfect business card, to the point where it isn't like a rectangular piece of paper. It is actually a feather that's been cut, die cut,
nice.
embossed with silver filigree. He used all of his money on this.
I really love that.
Cursive Niles, like written like in through the featherwork.
If you don't have proficiency in sleight of hand, you do now.
I also think he should have proficiency in intimidation with his eyes.
With his eyes.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely.
That's something. That's a
perception.
That's
if he doesn't have it, if you don't have proficiency in perception, you're doing something wrong as well.
I got proficiency in perception. Don't worry.
Now, what we're going to do as well, really quickly. Did you guys? Oh, we've gone a little bit over. That's okay. Did you guys have an idea? Yep.
I just wanted to let everyone know. On ChatGPT, I've already created a short, corny romance novel set in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's called The Half Elf and the Dragonborn, and here's a little excerpt. Keth was unlike any man Eldorado had ever met. He was tall and muscular with scales instead of skin and a fierce look in his eyes. But there was something in those eyes that made her heart flutter. The Half Elf and the Dragonborn. There's more paragraphs to that, so
it's really hot in here. Is that your fire dragon heritage?
So I will let you know, and I'm gonna I'll chat GPT some short stories.
Oh, amazing! The best
and you can read them.
So
I'll make it PG though.
No, we won't.
What do you mean?
No.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, all good. I was going to say, what we're going to quickly do, we'll quickly get your background sorted. It kind of sounds like most of you had an idea for your backgrounds anyway. During your backstories, there's a couple of things, if you can take proficiency, and I think it would work really well with your characters. For Niles, definitely perception, and I think sleight of hand is appropriate as well. This business card you work on, you put a lot of effort into, and it is brilliant. For Lyra, do you have proficiency in nature?
No, because it's a -1.
Because it's a -1. That's very fair. What about survival?
Survival.
I've got.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Survival's a really good one for Lyra. That makes a lot of sense. Tetra, I'm thinking, what sort of came up in your story, in your backstory? What sort of proficiencies would make a lot of sense for you to try and go for, or background would make sense for you? Outlander kind of makes sense for you a little bit. No, not really. No, not really. Did you have a background in mind, Michael?
Backgrounds. Oh, do I have background? Oh, where is it?
Description.
Yeah. I did Wild Spacer.
Oh, can you tell me about Wild Spacer? That's a new one. That's come from
Yeah.
what's it called? Spelljammer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. So I gained the tough feat, and in addition,
Nice.
I learned how to adapt to zero gravity, and being weightless doesn't give me disadvantage on my
Oh, well, that just makes perfect sense for your background. Yep, absolutely.
Damn.
That's awesome. No, that's
That
perfect.
makes my background look like shit.
What was your background?
That background's
No,
amazing.
I want the tough feat.
I want a feat. Damn
Oh,
it.
gee. Alright.
Feel free to have a look over the backgrounds on D&D Beyond over the
Damn.
next couple of days. If you want to change your background, please feel free to. Let me know what it is, and at the beginning of the next session, we'll go through your new background. If you want to also craft a custom background, let me know, and I'm happy to do that too. That's easy for me to create custom backgrounds.
I had the idea for Far Traveler,
Yes.
just because your accent, manners, and figure of speech, and even your appearance mark you as foreign.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes sense. But if you wanted to do a custom background for the Dwarven Forged,
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe one called Out of Time.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
I feel like that's relevant for a lot of our character backgrounds.
Yeah. out of time, where you're from a distant place or a distant time, and your manner of speech and manner of dress is relegated to that period lost in history. Something about you seems familiar to people, but they can't quite put their fingers on it. And I'll think of how that could be fitted in with some features. So definitely proficiency in history would come with that, because it wouldn't be history for you. It'd be like just knowledge.
Yeah.
And I'll have a think. Maybe actually, do you know what else? Actually, Keen Mind might be the feat that comes with that, if you wanted to do it like that.
Oh, nice one.
Ooh,
Which
it
is the one where
wouldn't-
you have a photographic memory.
Yeah.
It wouldn't suit
Oh,
because that's not their
No,
forte.
that's a good point.
That's a cool background. Like,
We'll have a think.
Yeah.
I'll come up with some stuff for you, and we'll have a
Okay.
bit of play. So over the next week, we'll come up with some things. Awesome. Okay, well, there's only one thing left that we need to do tonight, and that's for you to do your character introductions for the beginning of each session. So the way we're going to do it, I can go first if you want it, so I will do mine really quickly. Hey there, my name's Owen. I'm the Dungeon Master of our Return of the Giants campaign. Done. So just say your name, your character's name, and their race
Astral.
and class.
I just will pipe in, Owen. You didn't
Yeah.
actually do a little breakdown of my backstory.
Oh shit, we didn't. Sorry, we should do yours now.
Ah, that's
Sorry,
fine.
mate. Because I thought I think you already said you had one.
Yeah.
I-
Oh, pretty
but
much. I think.
did you wanna
I
change
think
it?
I still. No. I think it's gonna. I think I will go with the celebrity adventurers sign-on thing. But was there any skill proficiencies that like I showed though throughout?
I think probably. I wish I could give you like if you haven't taken investigation, I think you should.
Yeah.
If you
I'm
haven't
definitely going
taken investigation, makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking as well. What's the one I'm thinking of?
archaeologist.
Yeah, the archaeologist feat.
There's an archaeologist background.
No, there is.
Yeah, archaeologist background's
Is
a
there?
great feat. Yeah, there is an archaeologist background. It's actually quite good as well.
Oh, that's
I'm-
from Two
I'm thinking a tool proficiency kind of might make sense for you as well,
Hmm.
Jared. I'm also, because there is something that I've introduced called artificer's supplies rather than alchemist supplies. So those who create items to do with magitech use an artificer's
Oh.
supplies. That might be something
Okay,
that
that's
you as an
cool.
astral elf would have.
It's a cool idea.
We'll have a bit of a chat over the next couple of days, and I might be giving you a custom background too.
Cool. That sounds good.
I'm
I'll say
thinking-
that.
I wasn't sure what I was going to make Niles, but having had the experience that I've had tonight, I'm thinking probably maybe like courtier could be good.
Nice. Yeah.
That could be.
See-
I think that would fit nicely with
Having a narrative session 0 to help create the character actually really gives you an idea of like the character's background, and it kind of fits the background to the way that the character just naturally kind of comes out as you play
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really organic way of running a session 0, doing it as a narrative experience. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, fantastic. All right, so we're doing character introductions. So say your name, your character's name. So for example, it'd be like, hi, my name's Jared. I'm playing Krasus. He is a Astral Elf fighter, or Astral Elf wizard, I should say.
Perfect.
And then what we'll do is, as we get more of the story, we'll add to the introductions a little bit. So after you guys get to level 3, we'll then specialize them a bit in, like, I'm an Astral Elf wizard who specializes in something like that, and then it can kind of be a way of like expanding the backgrounds and the stories. So, I mean, Jared, you can go first if you like.
I'll go first. Hey guys, I'm Jared. I'm playing the character of Krasus, Antares, a Astral Elf wizard.
Brilliant. Do you want to go next, Michael?
Sure. Hi everybody, I am Michael. I'm playing Tetra Aeonite, Circle of Stars Druid.
And Claire.
Hi, my name's Claire. I am playing Nauthiz, or Now, who is a Dwarven Forged fighter.
Brilliant. Ali.
Hi, I'm Ali, and I'm playing Lyra, the Eladrin Druid.
Brilliant. They sound really good. Is that everyone? That's everyone.
No, absolutely
Matt.
myself.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm playing Niles Silverwind, the monk Owlin.
Brilliant. I was just thinking, I had an idea like halfway through for like how I could like edit these down and make it even more amazing for the display, about like, because previously what I've been doing is having like the character out there, the logo on the side, and then like you guys in the middle, and it kind of walks through. And I just had this idea for how to do it like animated, and that distracted me so fully from that moment. So I was like, it's like seeing how this could go together. Yeah. Awesome. Brilliant. Okay. That's everything we needed to get through tonight. So with session 1, so that for those of you who want to watch the session 0, I think the session 0 is a great way to get to understand the characters' backstories, but we do kind of run it so that session 1, you can start there and not have to have gone to the session 0, which kind of jumps in and out of roleplay a little bit. So yeah, I'll do a bit of a recap session 1, giving an idea of your backstories, and then we're going to jump straight into the campaign from that moment that Mira met all of you. So that is going to be very, very exciting. Well, that is it from us tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Return of the Giants. We are very excited to start playing this campaign. There's going to be a lot of fun things coming. But that's it from us now. So until we see you next time, stay safe, stay well, have a lovely, lovely week, and we'll see you again super soon. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.